Good morning. The Chancellor, George Osborne's outlining how he intends to clamp down on tax dodgers who try to hide their money abroad. Under the new laws, it would no longer be necessary to prove intent, only that the cash was taxable and hadn't been declared. Speaking in Washington, Mr Osborne also says he wants tougher penalties for those who are convicted. A Walsall man is starting a life sentence after being convicted of murdering his wife and trying to cover it up after she threatened to reveal he was gay. 24-year-old Varkarani had only been in the country for a month when Jasveer Ramginde strangled her and burnt her body in an incinerator last September. Her cousin, Sanil Kumar, says they're horrified by how little emotion the 29-year-old showed.
He showed no remorse. He was, of course, if we knew his circumstances, we would never have arranged to a marriage of that kind.
More than a quarter of teachers questioned in a survey say parents are being asked to donate money to help buy items like textbooks for state schools. The poll was carried out in England by the Association of Teachers and Lecturers. The government says schools aren't allowed to charge for any activity that's part of the national curriculum. Alison Sherratt, the president of the ATL, says children at her school have missed out on trips because of a lack of funds.
Budgets are tight, I have to say that. I'm speaking from my own school. When we've had school trips, we ask for a voluntary contribution. There have been times when not enough voluntary contributions have come in and couldn't cover the cost of the trip. So unfortunately, trips have had to be cancelled.
9 years after the collapse of MG Rover, celebrations taking place in Longbridge. The Pride of Longbridge is in its 9th year now. It started after the collapse of the Birmingham Car Company. Hundreds of visitors are expected at Cofton Park, including many ex-Longbridge workers. Gemma Cartwright's the organiser and says people from all around the world will be there.
It's absolutely amazing. The UK literally come together to Longbridge, but also we've got people that have just come for Pride of Longbridge from Belgium. We've got foremen that are coming from Australia with their cars. It's just amazing how global that Longbridge meant to so many people in so many different areas.
A judge in Pakistan's thrown out a case against a 9-month-old baby boy who'd been accused of attempted murder. Musa Khan had been charged alongside 12 members of his family over a confrontation with police. His relatives must still stand trial. And the craze for rebranding has made it to Birmingham Nature Centre. From now on, it will be known as Birmingham Wildlife Conservation Park, which they say better reflects what goes on there. The park has many of the world's most endangered species, and Les Basford told BBC WM what they are.
We keep such things as red pandas, golden lion tamarins, Colombian black spider monkeys, northern bald ibis, and the list goes on, actually.
And a look at the weather. Dry at first. It is going to get cloudier as we go on today, and there's some patchy light rain later. Highs of 13 Celsius, 55 Fahrenheit. Tonight, the odd spot of rain, but mainly dry. It will be chilly, though. Lows of 3 degrees Celsius or 37 degrees Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning. Thank you to Molly for another excellent show. Lots to talk about between now and midday, including buskers. Don't you just hate them? Ever seen a good busker? I don't think so. They're all rubbish. We'll be talking about buskers later on. If you are a busker and you want to defend the noble art of standing on a street corner playing Wonderwall by Oasis for 4 hours, then you can give us a call on that. We'll be talking to a friend of the young lady that was murdered by her husband because he was afraid she was going to out him as gay. Well, is it really that difficult being gay these days? Is there still that much prejudice against gays? But in the first hour, on your impartial BBC WM 95.6, homeopathy. What a load of old guff. If you want to get in touch, you can do. You can send me an email, iain.lee@bbc.co.uk. You can send me a text, 81333. Start your text WM, or the best way to do this, and you're getting good at this, is to give me a phone call. 03453 009956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453
00
9956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Now, can I be honest? Can I pull back the curtain ever so slightly to reveal that the wizard is just a decrepit old man pulling levers and turning knobs? It's a really quiet news day today. It is. Producer Jo's putting her head in her hands. It's true. It's a really quiet news day. So if you've spotted anything that we haven't spotted, you know what? Give us a call, or if you just want to phone up for a chat, we're not desperate, but we're local and vocal. So 03453 009956. Homeopathy, though, it's a thing that's interested me for a while. My mum's quite ill with MS. And I think when you have someone in your family, or you yourself are poorly with a disease for which there is no known cure, and there's not really a lot you can do to halt it, you look, don't you? You look at, in inverted commas, alternative therapies. You look at other things. You think, no, medical science must be wrong. There must be other ways we can treat this cancer. There must be other things we can do to not only halt but reverse the onslaught of multiple sclerosis. There must be a way of treating dementia that has escaped medical science. Well, if you've been in that position, could you give me a call? 03453 009956. We looked long and hard when it came to my mum for her MS. And we tried all kinds of things, all kinds of alternative therapies, including homeopathy. We had a go at homeopathy. And Kelsuprise, it didn't do nothing. It didn't do a thing. The homeopath was like, oh, yeah, no, don't worry. We can at worst, we can halt the degenerative process of the MS in your mum. I reckon we could probably reverse it. Well, she now lives in a care home and can't walk and can't feed herself. So, go figure. 03453 009956. Homeopathy, it's a load of old guff, isn't it? There was a report in The Independent. It's today. Trying to get my head around the dates. It's the 12th of April already. How did that happen? I'm 41 in 2 months' time. Homeopathy is no better than a placebo, scientists claim in today's Independent. Let me read you some of this. Homeopathic medicines are as effective as placebos at treating illnesses, an Australian scientific body has claimed in a new study. Some interesting words there. Scientific and study. Doctors have reportedly welcomed the findings and hope that the study will prevent patients being persuaded to use homeopathic vaccinations, oh no, instead of orthodox medicines, with the former leaving people prone to life-threatening diseases including TB. Proponents of the form of alternative therapy claim that it stimulates the body to heal itself and is based on the principle of like cures like. Here's a description from the British Homeopathic Association, the BHA, of how it works. A substance taken in small amounts will cure the same symptoms it causes if it was taken in large amounts. The medicines are made by heavily diluting substances and succession or vigorous shaking. Right. So you get, like, some arnica. I don't even know what arnica is. I'm guessing it's a plant. You get some arnica. You dilute it with water, and then you shake it. Oh, right. OK, yeah. That's going to work, isn't it? Oh, it's great for shock. Oh, it's really, really good for depression. My son, Samuel, was suffering from terrible depression, wanted to kill himself, and we tried all forms of medication, and then we gave him homeopathic treatments, and he's marvellous. It doesn't work. It's a nonsense. And what's interesting here, a scientific body has claimed in a study. What they've done is they have done tests. They have done laboratory tests on this and proved that it doesn't work. And it can't work, can it? It's no better than a placebo. That's when you think you're taking a real medicine, and so therefore you get better. 03453 009956. Now, I know that proponents of homeopathy they're quite aggressive in their defence of this treatment. So if that's you, could you give me a call and let me know why you put so much faith into this treatment? And if you have personal experience of it working for you, right, I'm using the word working in italics, let me know. 03453 009956. We've got some good guests on this lined up as well. I think this is going to be a good one this morning. Mo's in Tamworth. Morning, Mo.
Good morning, Ian.
Mo, what, you're getting earlier and earlier with your calls.
Well, I'm an early riser. I don't always ring you early, but I am today.
Good for you. You're the first cab off the rank. What have you got for me, Mo?
Okay. You just made a request a few minutes ago about if there's any other topic you'd like mentioned, we can phone in and mention it.
Oh yeah, go on.
Well, I've heard this morning on the news.
Yeah.
Situation, but I've heard it before, and what it is that parents. I haven't got young children anymore. Let's bear that in mind. That parents more and more now are being requested to financially donate towards their children's education.
Oh yes, no, I've heard this. This is there's a big report out, isn't there? That they're not only being asked. Some schools are being asked to pay, asking parents to pay a voluntary donation of about 20 quid per pupil to cover trips and things like that. But now some schools are also asking for voluntary contributions to pay for books and pens.
Yes.
That doesn't seem right, does it?
It seems an absolute atrocity to me, because aren't most parents who are working, and that is most parents, already paying for their children's education? I mean, what's this government doing? It's grabbing more and more and more of people's money, and I think it's wrong. And it's up to you, but I'd like to know other people's opinions on this.
Mo, listen, the way this show works is I come in, we've got a load of things to talk about, and we throw it out there, okay?
Yeah.
But people, it's kind of an open house. People are allowed to call up and say, hang on a second, I think you should be talking about this. So I'm happy to throw it out there and see what people think. Is there not an argument, Mo, that we're all living longer, there are more of us, there are more people, so perhaps things that we thought were free at the point of contact, schools, hospitals, GPs, fire service, isn't there an argument that maybe we should be paying for those services? As well as the taxes, we should be paying at the point of contact. So if you send your kids to a school, you do pay 20 quid a term for them to be there. You do pay £10 a month into the NHS.
Well, you say we're living longer. I would debate that, because I think it's absolutely farcical, this thing about living longer. Because I'll tell you something, Ian.
Hang on.
More and more people are hugely and massively obese, and they're not going to get into old age.
There's a lot of fatties. But listen, 50 years ago, you didn't get people making it to their 60s. And now we've got so many people listening in their 70s and their 80s and their 90s.
Yeah, but I'm talking more of the future.
Oh.
Because the majority of people who are overweight now are under 50.
Yeah.
And if you go down, even more so. Because they do tend to be young, unfortunately. Now, they're not going to live to probably pensionable age, because it's not just the fatness that will kill them, it's all the related illnesses concerning that will prevent them getting into old age. So I don't think the age thing will change that much. The only people I think that will get into old age, if they're very lucky, is if you look after your body and keep it slim.
My body is a temple. Who wants to come and pray? We can put that out there. This is the way this show works, and I'm glad that people are starting to get the hang of it. We'll put stuff out there, and if there is... I'm laughing. I'll tell you why I'm laughing. Producer Jo wanted to do this. She wanted to do paying for books at schools and paying to go to the NHS and things like that. And I went, Jo, no, we won't do that. It's boring. No one's going to be... I suspect she set Mo up to be the first caller of the show. We won't do that, Jo. Producer Jo, it'll be dull. Well... First cab off the rank knocks me down, doesn't it, as I'm crossing a zebra crossing? I could be completely wrong. We'll put it out there. Do you not think there are more of us and that we are living longer? I don't know where Mo's getting her stats from, but we are living longer. It's a fact that perhaps we do have to pay at the point of contact, the point of service, for things that we pay for out of our taxes. So, You do pay 10 quid a month for the NHS, as was suggested recently. Parents should pay 20 quid a term per child for books and things like that. 03453 009956, and also your experiences with homeopathy. It's just nonsense, isn't it? Right, it's BBC WM 95.6. I haven't checked. I think on the travel, I recognise that sigh. It's Liz Saul.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
It's nice to see you in fine fettle as ever. It's looking rather busy as you head into Birmingham on the A38, round towards the Belgrave interchange from the Priory Road turning. Also through Selly Oak is a bit busy as well. It's very slow in King's Heath this morning for some reason. Along the A435 and round Addison Road. Bawdsley Circus is rather heavy going, so too along Ladywood Middleway towards Spring Hill Circus. Your match day travel sees Villa fans off to Crystal Palace this afternoon. 2.5 hour journey, the M40 or the M1, either way, getting onto the M25 and then onto the A10, or if you wanted to go the other way around, onto the A23. All those routes looking fine so far this morning. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel 08453 002288.
When I run for the bus now, I have to hold my chest down because my man boobs flop around so much. I nearly had my eye out the other day. Iain Lee.
Saturdays, 9 till 12. The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM
95.6.
Fantastic. 03453 009956. Well, there you go. We've got something else to talk about, to throw into the mix. Thank you, Mo. She's questioning the story that's in the news today, that more and more schools, more and more state schools are asking for contributions from their parents, financial contributions. Sometimes for school trips, for days out, sometimes for books and pens, exercise books. 03453 009956. There are more people in this country, partly through migration, but primarily because we're having babies. And we are living longer. Well, maybe the things that used to be free at the point of contact, going to the GPs, maybe you should pay 2 quid. 2 quid to go to the GPs, a fiver to go to the GPs. Children under 12 are free. Sounds all right. Sounds feasible, doesn't it? You can stop the smug looks, Producer Joe, please. There really is no need. I'm a big man, and I'm out of shape. No, hang on, that's a quote from Get Carter. I'm a big man, and I can admit that, yes, I was slightly wrong. 03453 009956, and also your stories of homeopathy. Gwen's in Hodge Hill. Morning, Gwen.
Good morning.
Gwen, what have you got for me?
I was just listening about the schools asking parents for money towards, utility things for the children.
Yes.
Well, what do they do with the pupil premium that they get?
The pupil premium? What? Explain what that is.
The pupil premium is given to schools, to each child who's on free school meals. If you're in primary school, it's over £1,000 a year.
Per child?
Yes.
OK.
Now, this is for children who are on free school meals.
Disadvantaged pupils, yes, OK.
Yes. And if you're in senior schools, it's about £935 per child.
Yep.
And as long as that parent is receiving benefits, that money stays with that child all the way through school.
It's not a lot of money, is it, though? And
Hold on a tick.
What?
If you've got, say, 50% of a school where there's 500 children,
yes,
and children of 50 are on school meals,
yes,
do you not think that's a lot of money?
Yeah, but that's not going to go towards. That's not going to cover the books. If schools are having a lack of funding and they can't afford to buy exercise books and textbooks,
yeah,
that money's not going to cover all of the exercise books and all of the textbooks, is it?
How many schools today are using textbooks and whatever? Haven't they got all these modern computers and touch-screen tellies?
Well, now you have me at a slight disadvantage. Yes, I think they do have computers, the modern computers and touch-screen tellies, but I think they still use exercise books in school, Gwen,
yes,
and textbooks.
Yes, they do. Yes, of course they do.
And computers, modern computers,
listen.
No, modern computers are more expensive than textbooks.
It depends on how the school is using its money.
Yeah.
And every school is allocated money per pupil by the government.
How about every time you go to...
And if they're not using it wisely,
Yes.
then perhaps that school needs to get somebody in to give them a helping hand.
What do you mean? Get someone in and pay them a salary? What, 40 grand a year? So that's 40 grand a year gone.
You're saying why pay somebody £40,000?
All right, 30,000. Because you've got to get someone in to manage the finances. You've got to pay them. So what?
They've already got people in to manage the finances.
Well, then who are you getting in?
No, you're not listening to me.
You said get someone in. Who are you getting in?
You've got the education department. They could come in and give a helping hand, which they already do. So I'm at a loss as to see how the school isn't managing.
OK, Gwen, how about... Gwen.
All the way through education.
Yes?
Schools have always been short of pens.
Gwen, how about when you go to the doctors, you pay a £5?
Yeah.
That sounds fair, doesn't it?
Why not?
Yeah, you up for that?
Yeah.
Beautiful, lovely. We agreed on something, Gwen. Thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956. Do we have to accept, as a country, our taxes just ain't hacking it? And if we want to keep some of the marvellous things we have, the NHS and some fantastic schools, then we have to contribute at the point of service. You pay a £5 to go and see the doctor. Kids under 12 go free. Parents contribute £20 a term per child towards books, exercise books, pens, things like that. 03453 009956 is the telephone number.
Iain Lee
On BBC WM
95.6.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
It's a subject that came from one of you, dear listener, one of your own kind, and that's how we can work this. Also talking this morning, homeopathy. Have alternative medicines ever worked for you? Great story in The Independent today. There is no reliable evidence that homeopathy is effective. That's according to a new scientific study, two very important words there, by researchers in Australia. Well, doctors hope that the study will stop patients being persuaded to use homeopathic vaccinations instead of orthodox medicines, with the former leaving people prone to life-threatening diseases. Joined now by Professor David Colquhoun, who's a pharmacologist at University College London, and Manny Norland is from the School of Homeopathy. Good morning to both of you.
Morning.
David, why are you so anti-homeopathy?
Because it doesn't work. It's really very simple. It's the simplest of all alternative medicines. There is nothing in the pills. It's a fraud.
Well, I thought that in the pills that there's like a tiny percentage of arnica or other things.
No, any dilution bigger than 12x contains nothing whatsoever. It's a simple application of Avogadro's law, which has been known since 1860-something.
Ah, the old Avogadros. You're quoting Avogadros already. Let's go to Manny from the School of Homeopathy. It's fraudulent, Manny. It doesn't work. There's nothing in those tablets.
Well, it's very clear to those working in homeopathy and those using homeopathy that it does work. And I think it's important to remember that around 500 million people around the world are using homeopathy every year. So I think it's very clear that it does work, and I think what's misunderstood around homeopathy is an understanding of the healing mechanism. And it's true that science doesn't completely understand how homeopathy works.
Well, explain it to us. How does it work?
But it's clear it's clear that it works from the patient perspective.
So how does it work?
Homeopathy works by stimulating your immune system to bring about a cure.
David, you laugh then.
But
there's
look, you know, there's
evidence
lots of
that it
research.
Stimulates your immune system. That's just made up nonsense.
There's lots of research that shows that homeopathy is effective.
No, there's not.
There is. I'm sorry, David, that's just not true. There've been over 142 randomly controlled trials.
Hang on, David. Let Manny finish. Go on, Manny.
There have been over 142 randomly controlled trials, which are considered the gold standard in medicine these days, that have been published in peer-reviewed journals, and 74 of those were conclusive. That's 85% showed that homeopathy was more effective than placebo. There was also in 2013 a research conference held in Barcelona with over 40 international speakers, most of which weren't in fact homeopaths. They were clinicians, academics, PhD researchers who had all stumbled into the world of homeopathy by mistake through the research that they were doing. And they all presented abstracts, over 65 abstracts, that showed that homeopathy is effective.
Manny, let's put that to David.
This is not evidence. You say they've been published in journals. They've mostly been published in journals of homeopathy, which
That's not true.
where the peer
That's not
review
true.
is-
They're peer review journals, David. They're not homeopathic journals. They're medical journals.
No, I'm sorry, you're just making this up. If you look at all of the evidence, it does not work any better than placebo. It can't do because it is a placebo. There is nothing in the pills. How many times does it have to be said?
Manny, what do you make of the research that's published today for the Australian study that says it's no better than a placebo?
Well, of course, it's disappointing to see that. I haven't been able to look at the full detail of that study, so I can't comment exactly on what they were looking at. But I am aware of the research that is going on in homeopathy. I certainly would like to see more. I think more funds should be channeled towards research in homeopathy because patients are testifying to good results.
But it seems a little bit, with the greatest of respect, Manny, it seems a little bit, I'll take the research that backs up my argument and I'll ignore the research that kind of contradicts it.
Well, it's funny that you should mention that because that's exactly what the pharmaceutical industry does with their research, but actually that's not what we're doing with our research. I'm talking about 142 randomly controlled studies, 74 of which were conclusive, 63, were not. But there was another study done by the British Homeopathic Hospital, which went on for 6 years and looked at over 6,500 patients. Now, more than 70% of those patients said that they had a beneficial effect from homeopathic medicine. And it's important to remember that in the world of the NHS, you don't normally get referred to a homeopath unless nothing else has helped you.
Were those patients still taking conventional medicine?
I don't know because I don't know the individual. I don't know the individual.
David, you seem to know more about this
but
one.
These patients. Hang on a minute. Sorry, these patients are people that were nothing else had been working for
But they
them.
were
Their
still
conventional medicine hadn't been working.
They
for
may
them.
still have been taking conventional medicine. David?
I'm glad you brought up the Bristol study because that's one of the worst bits of evidence I've ever seen. These patients weren't compared with anything. There was no control group, no randomization, no nothing. And what happened was that 50% of them said they were a bit better or much better, and 50% didn't. I mean, it's utterly random, obviously.
It's one of
the worst studies ever.
I think that's very unfair to say that a study that goes on for 6 years with 6,500 patients.
It wasn't a study. They just counted the patients in and out.
These are patients that all have been suffering ills and were made to feel better, and many of which whose health improved. So you can't just write off 6,500 people, many of which felt better from these treatments.
That's the thing.
Half got better and half didn't, but that's what would have happened anyway.
David, that's the thing. We will get people.
So that's 3,250 people that felt better that should just be ignored, is it, David?
No, don't be silly. And what I'm saying is that, this is absolute paradigm of how you don't discover the truth. You don't compare them with anything. You have no idea how many would have said that if they'd been given nothing, which is in fact, of course, what they were given.
David, most of the medicines and treatments prescribed on the NHS have no randomly controlled trials to back them up.
Let me come in. David, we will get lots of people this morning phoning in, and I know because I've done this conversation before, saying, well, I was terribly ill and homeopathy helped me. My son was terribly ill and nothing else worked, and we went to see a homeopath. Within 6 weeks he was better. How do you account for those stories?
It's called regression to the mean. It isn't even a placebo effect. Placebo effects are real, but they're quite small. They would have got better anyway. It's very much like echinacea will cure your cold.
That is complete nonsense. I'm so sorry. That is complete nonsense. This is what enrages patients so much. People that have been ill for years and years and years, that have tried many different treatments, they then, out of desperation, quite often come and try homeopathy, and then start to feel better. And you say, they would have started to feel better anyway.
That's right.
That is absolute madness.
It's not madness, it's great. It's
It
well
is.
documented.
Listen to what you're saying. It doesn't make sense. These people have tried loads of different treatments. Why didn't they start to feel better on the other treatments? Why didn't the placebo effect work when they were taking the conventional drugs?
It's like echinacea will cure your cold in 7 days, and otherwise it would have taken a whole week. It is a very deceptive
there's nothing deceptive about it. It's a well-regulated and well-regarded profession
Manny,
that is misunderstood. I agree.
Manny.
Listen, I agree with what David's saying, that there is a misunderstanding in homeopathy about the way it works. It's not clear how the healing mechanism works. We would all like to know. There needs to be more research and science and funding in homeopathy.
Manny, do you not think, gentlemen, do you not think, Manny, that sometimes homeopathy can offer false hope to people?
No, I don't. Because
when I took my example was my mum's got MS. She got it very, very badly. We tried everything. There was nothing that could be done. We've accepted that. But earlier on, we were desperate, and we took her to see a homeopath. And he said, at worst, I will be able to slow down the degenerative effect of this. But I reckon I could probably stop it and maybe even reverse it slightly.
But
that was nonsense. I mean, that was a lie.
Well, that's not a very sensible thing for anyone working in the medical profession to say, because no medicine is 100% effective.
I'm sorry,
so it's not a very good standpoint to start out at. But a lot of people are helped with homeopathy. 1 in 8 people in the UK use homeopathy. It's widely used in Europe. It's on the NHS in Germany and France. It's on the NHS here. It should be more widely available on the NHS here, but sadly it's not.
The funding on the NHS has fallen by 95% over the last few years. As you must well know, the homeopathic hospitals are all shut or shutting. And
yes, that's very sad.
Homeopathy is now returning to where it was in the 1950s, dead.
Well, no, it's a very sad situation. I actually, David, because you are taking this choice away from people that want to use it. We all pay for the NHS. Not everybody can afford to go and see private practitioners, but they can afford to go to the NHS because they're paying for it out of their taxes.
Manny,
that choice is being taken away from them by
gentlemen,
people like you.
To take pills which contain nothing
Gentlemen,
whatsoever.
we're running out of time. Manny, what's this about you can give homeopathy to pets as well?
Yes, there are veterinary homeopaths in the
really?
UK.
What? So, what if your dog's, not feeling very well, you give it some arnica and that works,
Absolutely.
does it?
You can give homeopathy to any member of the family and to pets and animals, and I mean that it works on babies, it works on the unconscious, it works on dogs and cows. There are plenty of homeopathic vets regulated.
And that couldn't be a placebo effect, could it, Davies? If cows are getting better,
yes, it could. It's a placebo effect on the owner of the cat who imagines it's got better, or the cat would have got better anyway.
What are you talking about there, David? A placebo effect on the owner of the cow. The medicine is given to the cow, not the owner.
Yes, but it's the owner who assesses how well the cow is. Come on.
Oh, not the vet, not the person that's going there to give them treatment.
Yes, of course it is. And
if they see the cow improve, then they've got that wrong, have they?
OK, gentlemen, listen, we're going to have...
Your arguments are ridiculous.
Gentlemen, we're going to have to end it there. Thank you very much. The last voice you heard was Manny Norland from the School of Homeopathy. And the other gentleman was Professor David Colquhoun, who's a pharmacologist at University College London and is quite strongly, I think you may have picked up from that, quite strongly anti-homeopathy. It's over to you. I need your stories and your accounts of it, please. 03453 009956. Have you tried it? Has it worked for you? Maybe you are a homeopath and you studied. You have to study for a long... I had a friend that was studying homeopathy. I couldn't look him in the eye when he was telling me. I felt a bit embarrassed. Oh, nice one, Mike. Yeah, I hope that goes well. 03453 009956. Maybe you're a doctor. It'd be great to get a GP on. Or a doctor. Or doctors. GPs are doctors, I know. And what I meant was like hospital doctors, not just general practitioners. It'll be nice to get a doctor of any description, of any background, who is a believer in homeopathy, who does use it, who does prescribe it to their patients. I struggle to see how it can work, and I struggle to see why... I know why people would use it. People use it because they are desperate. People use these alternative medicines, these alternative therapies when they are desperate. Reiki, anybody? Reiki? My mum is, she's going through treatment for breast cancer. And she is going through treatment for breast cancer. She's getting the chemo, she's getting the Herceptin, she's doing all those things. She's going once a week getting the chemo in the hospital. In a hospital, by the way, dear listener, that the CQC, the Care Quality Commission, said was one of the worst hospitals in the country and that patients should be afraid of going there. Thank you so much. Oh, that was great when I heard that on Radio 4. But she's going there and she's getting the treatment. And then there's a very, very nice lady who comes round and gives my mum Reiki. And Reiki, what is it? Well, my mum listens to some whale music and the lady holds her hands above her feet. That's it. Now, that's not anything, is it? And my mum enjoys it and she falls asleep. Wonderful. She falls asleep, by the way, because of the Piriton that she's been given. That's why she falls asleep. She falls asleep, she wakes up, she says, oh, that feels nice. Great. She feels nice. She has a nice sleep. Wonderful. But Reiki, it's a load of old nonsense, isn't it? Chinese medicine. Anybody tried that? Yes, sir, I tried it. When I was younger, someone squirted some bleach in my face. It was pranks, it wasn't an attack, okay? And I got a red mark on my skin that would get really sore. I had it for years, would get really sore. I went to a Chinese medicine man, and they gave me some twigs and some leaves and said, boil that up and drink it twice a day. It made it worse. Chinese medicine, Reiki, crystal healing. Maybe I'll tell you my crystal healing story a little bit later on. And homeopathy. These things, they simply can't work. 03453 009956. Kath's in Walsall. Morning, Kath.
Good morning.
Kath, what would you like to say?
I think homeopathy is absolutely fantastic.
Oh, go on. Tell me why.
Well, they've served me very well over the years.
What's it done for you?
Well, I've got ME, and it keeps me on my feet. If I didn't have them, I would be probably bedridden. Now, conventional medicine is lethal. All this medicine from the pharmaceuticals, they can kill you with other things than what they've been prescribed. They should be closed down, in my opinion.
Well, no, you can't close down pharmaceuticals because they help millions of people with their medicines.
And they destroy millions of people as well.
How many millions of people have been destroyed by prescribed medication?
I know a lot of people where it's damaged their health.
But it's not millions.
It doesn't do my health. I'm not happy with conventional.
How does before you got your treatment? How did your ME affect your life?
It's devastating. It's absolutely. You can't do anything. You've got brain fog. It ruins your life.
And you went to the doctors, and
they can't do anything for ME. No doctor will tell you that they can give you anything for ME.
So what made you go to a homeopath?
Well, the doctors can't help. And I tried several things, but homeopathy works. And that David is quite a bigot.
Well, he's not bigoted. He's opinionated. He's not bigoted. It's not bigotry to say that homeopathy doesn't work.
He would not be prepared to even consider to listen. He's just got his blinkers on.
But with respect, the other gentleman wasn't prepared to listen either, was he?
Oh yes, he was.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Because I didn't hear that. I heard that both gentlemen were reluctant to listen to the other.
And he was quite a reserved, a pleasant man. The other one was so nasty.
Well, that's
dominating.
Well, that's
his view was right, regardless.
But no, Kath, I'm not going to let you have that. Yes, that he may have been slightly brusque, but both gentlemen believed that their view was right. And in my opinion, and 03453 009956, if you think I'm wrong, neither of them was that prepared to listen to the other person. And in fact, it was the homeopath who wouldn't let me get in. He told me to be quiet.
I don't agree with you there. You've got the wrong man in the wrong position there. Sorry.
Well, I've put both men in the same position. Both men had their beliefs and they stuck to them.
Your hearing of both conversations, you weren't hearing it right, in my opinion.
In your opinion, yeah. That's what you make up. So it's worked for you. What do you take?
Depends what it is at the time. But I don't have pills. They are sugar pills. With, I have drops.
Of? Oh.
The medication, which is...
You have drops of what?
Homeopathic drops.
Yeah, but what are they?
Depends on what's the matter with me.
Okay, so give me some examples, Kath. I don't know why you're being so obstructive. Give me some examples of the homeopathic drops they give you.
I'm sorry, but if you've got a chest infection like I've got at the moment...
Flippin' heck. What's that got to do with you not telling me what homeopathic drops they've given you?
I have all sorts of homeopathic drops. I have RSV, which is a respiratory one. Anything that can be affecting me at that particular time.
But what's in them?
Whatever it is that's causing the problem. RSV is a respiratory.
Okay, so they put Emmy into a tablet.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
Well, but Kath, I don't know. I don't know why you're getting so angry about this. I'm trying to find out what they put in your tablets, and you won't tell me.
Ian, you know what I think you should do? I think you should go and do a little bit of research.
No, I'm doing it now by talking to you, Kath. I have the perfect research here. Someone whose life...
I am not qualified and not health-wise.
But do you not know, I take regular medicine, and I like to look at what medicine I'm taking. I can tell, I'm not going to because it's private, but I could tell you what medicine I'm taking on a daily basis. I would have assumed that you would be able to tell me
You obviously know nothing about ME whatsoever.
Well, no, I know very little, Kath. You do. That's why I'm asking you questions about the medication that you're taking.
Go and do your research.
Why are you so... Why are you so reluctant to tell me what...
Not reluctant at all. I'm not reluctant at all, for goodness sake.
Then what are you taking, Kath?
At the moment?
Yes.
I'm taking medicine.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, because I can hear you're getting chesty. Take a deep breath. Get your breath back.
Look, don't tell me how to look after my body. I've been doing that since I'm...
Kath, I'm going to...
and I'm now 77.
Kath, I'm going to let you go, because this isn't working for me.
No, I think you should do a bit of research, Ian.
OK, Kath, thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956. I was just suggesting she was struggling breathing. I was just suggesting she took a breath. There was no rush. I don't think that was particularly aggressive of me. Why was she so reluctant? That's the thing. Why was she so reluctant to tell me what she was taking? I don't know. Why? OK, let's try again. My research is this. This is my research, is talking to people. I could Google stuff. I could go on Wikipedia, the home of the made-up fact, and look at it. I could read all kinds of research and studies online. I'd still be left scratching my head. This show is the perfect research for me, because I can get people who are taking it, who are actively taking it, who have taken it, whose lives it has turned around. I was speaking to someone there who claims her life has been turned around by homeopathy, and yet there was a reluctance to tell me what it was she was taking and how it had changed her life. So I put it open to you. Put it over to you. Put it over to you or hand it over to you. I'll open it up to you. There we go. Are you using homeopathy? Has it worked? How has it changed your life? What are you taking? Those are the questions. And if you're having a cough and you're struggling for breath, there's no rush. Take a breath, OK? Just take a breath. Relax. 03453 009956. Rich has emailed him. iain.lee@bbc.co.uk. Ian, homeopathy and religion. Equally dangerous methods of healing. Well-meaning, delusional people trying to fix problems based on scientific ignorance. It's from Rich. That's his view. What do you think? 03453 009956. This is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Liz.
Thank you very much, Ian. It's looking rather congested as you head into Birmingham, particularly around Bawdsley Circus along the A45. Picked up a bit through Selly Oak and round Kings Heath, and certainly as you head towards Belgrave interchange, that's looking a little better than it was. Just be aware with your match day travel, obviously, it sees Villa fans off to Crystal Palace this afternoon, and it's a good 2.5-hour journey down either the M1 or the M40 and then onto the M25, but no reported delays on any of those routes as as you head towards London this afternoon. Just be mindful with the 3 o'clock kickoffs. They're actually at 7 minutes past 3. All matches this afternoon delayed by 7 minutes due to the 25th anniversary of the Hillsborough disaster. So obviously that means it will start a few minutes late, and that's affecting all matches this afternoon. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
This is
the voice of Birmingham
and the Black Country.
BBC WM.
95.6.
Weekday morning, 6 till 9.
Pete Morgan's breakfast time.
Oh, brilliant.
Wash your mouth, eh?
Travel, weather, news reports.
Daz has all the latest sports.
Enlightening, as always.
Lots of witty repartee. Bags of personality.
Breakfast hosts with the most.
Perfect with a piece of toast.
The voice.
The voice.
The voice. The voice.
The voice.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country. BBC WM 95.6.
Wowzers. Listen, I don't believe in homeopathy. I don't want to have a pop at anyone, though. I really want. I am open to hearing your stories of how it's worked for you. I'm open to hear. I'd love to speak to a Reiki practitioner. What is that woman doing when she puts her hands 2 inches above my mum's feet? What is that doing? And the Chinese medicine, all of these things. I'm keen to hear your stories, please. 03453 009956. I'm just suggesting don't come on with a cob on. All right? Don't come on with a cob on. Jarvis is in Aston. Morning, Jarvis.
Good morning.
Jarvis, what would you like to say about homeopathy?
Well, listen to what you're saying. I have an open mind on this subject. However, you were saying it doesn't work. But isn't it like being hypnotized? They reckon if you don't believe that you can be hypnotized, it ain't going to work. So sometimes it's mind over matter.
Here's something I know about. Shall I tell you why? I used to be a hypnotist. Yeah. I used to do all the hypnotism. I don't necessarily believe it can stop you from smoking or anything, but it can make you think you're Elvis Presley and forget the number 7. Yeah, it can. It's good fun. But hypnosis is a psychological phenomenon, isn't it? And it could be argued that homeopathy is a psychological phenomenon.
It is.
Sorry?
I think it is.
Do you believe that homeopathy can cure people?
Because the body has a means of curing itself. And if you believe you're feeling better, eventually you'll get better.
Can you understand, Jarvis, why some people might be so desperate that they do try these alternative therapies, homeopathy, Reiki, crystal healing?
Yes. It's like anything else. If you're searching for something, where you think you can find the answer, you cling on to. It doesn't mean that that's the answer, but at that point in time, it satisfies that desire, and if it works, it works.
Jarvis, thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956. Charles, stay there. We will be talking in a little bit about paying for school books and paying at the point of contact for services that we get for, in inverted commas, free. 03453 009956. But I just want to carry on this homeopathy thread. Gemma Hufkins is from Sutton Coldfield. She was given 3 months to live in 1996 after being told she had a brain tumour. Gemma, you turned to homeopathy, didn't you?
That's correct.
So you had 3 months... Did I pronounce your last name properly?
Hufkins, yeah. It is originally from Holland.
Oh.
My great-grandfather was born there.
So it would be Hufkins or something? From,
Hufkins, yes, you probably pronounce it better than I do.
So you had 1996, you're given 3 months to live. Well, I'm guessing you're still alive.
I'm still alive, very much so.
What happened?
Well, I... First, initially, 2 years beforehand, had an illness called hydrocephalus, which is water on the brain, and I did a very successful operation for that. And then I started to develop strange symptoms, and they discovered after a while, after a biopsy, that I had tumours in my head. So they gave me some radiology after a biopsy, and that didn't work. Initially, so they said that they'll do special boosters on my head of radiology, and all my hair fell out in one weekend, and then they said, okay, that hasn't worked enough, so we'll do some chemotherapy. So I had some chemotherapy, And so in a nutshell, basically, that didn't work either. They said, it's on my medical notes, there's nothing more that can be done for you. Would you like to go to a hospice? We've got a place there ready for you. You could stay in hospital if you like, or would you like to go home? So I thought, I'll go home. And then I started to see a homeopath, and gradually things started to get better. And I kept thinking, I was a complete sceptic of anything like this. I thought, this is a coincidence, but the coincidence just kept on going.
Were you still receiving conventional treatment, or had you stopped that?
No, they said there's nothing more they could do. That was it.
And what makes you so sure it was the homeopathy that cured you, and it wasn't the after effects of the chemotherapy and the radiotherapy?
Well, because I'd say a symptoms that, for instance, I got to a point where my eyelids wouldn't open up voluntarily.
Yeah,
but so I had to lift my eyelid up with my finger to see anything.
Yeah, but you
and
might have...
Then I had a homeopathic remedy, then it got better.
How quickly after?
Look, I had brain cancer. I got it was, maybe a couple of months.
Okay, so you don't know that was the homeopathy, though. It could have been.
It certainly wasn't chemotherapy.
Well,
after they said there's nothing more we could do for you.
Yeah, but doctors do quite often get things wrong, don't they, in terms of their diagnosis and prognosis. And
do they?
Yes, they do. There have been many people who've been told, you've got 6 months left to live. And 5 years later, they're still, playing football and stuff. So they do get it wrong from time to time. What makes you think that they didn't get it wrong here?
Well, they certainly got it right with the fact that I had terminal brain cancer.
Well, they didn't.
I was really, really poorly.
They didn't get that right, did they? Because it wasn't terminal.
No, but I think I would have died with that if I didn't have other help.
Okay. So you don't think... The thing is, there is no evidence, is there, Gemma? No scientific evidence.
There is. There's lots of research.
Well, if you let me finish,
not look at it.
No, Gemma,
if you let me finish. Research.
No, if you let me finish, there is no scientific evidence that the homeopathy cured you, and that it wasn't the intense radiotherapy and chemotherapy and all the treatment you were getting. It wasn't.
There's no scientific evidence that the chemotherapy helped me either.
It wasn't the accumulative effect of all the conventional medicine you had.
Okay, so I could say the same to you, but the other way around, couldn't I? There's no scientific evidence that the chemotherapy or radiology... It's so damaging to me.
There's scientific evidence that chemotherapy and radiology works. There is scientific evidence that backs it up. You'd agree with that, wouldn't you?
I'd say it's not doing very well. Look at the state of our country. We are the worst in the world.
Yeah, that's worse in the world in what?
And 1 in 3 people will get cancer, they say, and now it's going to be 1 in 2.
Okay, but that's nothing. 1 in 3 people could get cancer, but that doesn't denigrate the effectiveness of chemotherapy and radiology. That's not connected, is it?
Of course it is.
Well, no, it's not connected in the number of people that get cancer.
Okay, well, I went back to my oncologist a year later.
Yeah.
No, I think it was 2 years, sorry. Quite cross he hadn't got back to me.
Okay.
I was one of his patients. He said, because I think he expected I would have been, dead by now. And he said he did a few quick tests and said, thought this was a remarkable recovery. So then I wrote back to him and said, look, do you know how many people with terminal brain cancer have got better through, chemotherapy and radiology? And he couldn't answer me.
Right, OK. But Gemma, you cannot deny that chemotherapy and radiology works for a significant number of people, can you?
Or does it? Because there's so many
yes,
people dying. Well,
it does, Gemma.
Why aren't all these people with cancer getting better?
No, you're deliberately...
What are the statistics?
I don't know the statistics, but you cannot deny that radiotherapy and chemotherapy does work for a significant number of people.
I think it might delay the...
Delay
the prognosis.
No, Gemma, there is evidence that chemotherapy...
And it's very damaging to the other organs to the body.
It's poison. It's poison. You're being injected with a poison.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I know. It's damaging. But there is evidence, because people have done it, where they have been cured of their cancer with chemotherapy and a bit of surgery.
Yeah, so I've been cured, and
But no, but and I'm not. I'm just trying to on this basic thing that seems like.
But without all the horrible side effects, you could do
Gemma,
that without all the horrible.
Gemma, I'm just keen for us to agree on this very basic fact before we progress: that chemotherapy, radiology, combined with surgery, can cure people of cancer. That's a basic fact, isn't it?
Okay, maybe it can. Yeah, okay.
Well, no, it's there's no maybe. It can.
Okay.
Do you agree with that? Yes or no?
Yes, it can. Yes, it can.
Fantastic. There we go. That wasn't so difficult, was it? Gemma, thanks very much for your time this morning.
Okay, thank you very much.
Why am I... Thank you, Gemma. Why am I having so much trouble this morning? This seems like straightforward stuff. We've had two and a half people on who support homeopathy, who... have had a bit of a cob on with me. And now we've got people on Twitter having a pop at me and producer Joe. David Colquhoun, who was on earlier on. BBC West Midlands should be deeply ashamed. Fire the producer, that's you, producer Joe, utterly irresponsible. That's because we had Gemma on. They should be reported to BBC Trust and Trading Standards, says David Colquhoun. David, I don't know if you just heard the interview. Were you listening? What part of that interview should get us reported to the BBC Trust and Trading Standards? And I'll put in Ofcom as well. You probably want to go to Ofcom as well. And why should the producer be fired? Why are people scared of questioning people, of asking people for their stories? Why are you scared of that, David? Andy Lewis. Oh, good grief. BBC WM now have that woman who claims homeopathy cured her cancer. How utterly irresponsible of them. Really? Really? Well done. Oh, he's changed his tune now. Well done to Iain Lee for challenging her, but having dangerously wrong people on such a debate does not move things forward. No, I do think, Andy and David, I think you're both wrong at this. And I know that David has got people recording this show. By the way, David, that's illegal. I think you're both wrong on this. I really think that we have to look at all parts of the argument and ask people for their stories and allow people to make their own conclusions, draw their own conclusions. Do you remember when the BBC Question Time had the BNP guy on? I can't remember the BNP guy's name. That's the greatest thing that Nigel Farage has done, is we've all forgotten the name of the BNP guy. And loads of people were against having him on. Oh, no, he shouldn't be on. He shouldn't be. I thought it was one of the greatest things the BBC did, was having the head of the BNP on a primetime show so he could be questioned. And that surely is what we need to do for all of these arguments, for all of these things. We need to question everybody. David Colquhoun sent us an email earlier this morning saying, don't have that woman on, otherwise me and my friends will complain. Well, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You can't censor part of the argument because you don't like that part of the argument. That would be unfair. That would be blinkered. That would be biased. And it's not going to happen on my show, if I'm completely honest. Not while me and producer Joe are working on it. Although, as there are now calls for her to lose her job, that may not be for much longer. 03453 00, and certainly if my emails get through to the boss as well. 03453 009956. Homeopathy, your stories, good or bad. And I'm keen to hear them, whatever they are. Forget the naysayers on the internet. If you've got a story, good or bad, pro or again, then do give me a call. Charles, you've been waiting for absolutely ages. I will get to you, I promise. Charles wants to talk about having to pay for school books, textbooks, pens and things like that. Oh, I thought this would be a nice little gentle trot. It turns out that everyone's gone bonkers. 03453 009956. This is BBC WM 95.6.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
It's 10 o'clock exactly. Let's get the news and sport now with Alice Rosenthal.
Good morning. The government's planning to consult on a new criminal standard to make it easier to prosecute people who avoid tax by hiding money overseas. At present, officials must prove individuals intended to evade tax, but in future, people could be fined or even imprisoned for having undeclared cash. The Chancellor, George Osborne, says the changes will mean there's no safe haven for tax evaders, but tax lawyer Ray McCann thinks the impact will be limited.
In itself, I would be surprised if we see, an increased number of people ending up in the dock, and very surprised if, any of them were being sent to prison as a result.
A Walsall man who murdered his wife and burnt her body in a garden incinerator is starting a life sentence in jail. Jasveer Ramginde killed Varkarani when she threatened to reveal he was gay. He strangled her, then burnt her body and lied to police saying she'd gone missing. The 29-year-old was jailed for a minimum of 21 years by a judge at Wolverhampton Crown Court. Varka had only moved to the UK a month before she was killed. Her cousin, Sanil Kumar, says the family will never recover.
We're broken. We're broken people. The family's broken in India. That's all we've been doing day in, day out is cry, cry, cry because of this act.
More than a quarter of teachers questioned in a survey say parents are being asked to donate money to help buy items like textbooks for state schools. The poll was carried out in England by the Association of Teachers and Lecturers. The government says schools aren't allowed to charge for any activity that's part of the national curriculum. A court in Pakistan's discharged the case against a 9-month-old baby accused of attempted murder. Musa Khan was arrested along with 12 adult members of his family following a confrontation between protesters and police over gas and electricity supplies. His family still face the charges. Campaigners in West Heath are calling on Birmingham City Council to release the money to rebuild their library. It's been shut for 2 years. They say £400,000 has been set aside. The council agree, but say there's not enough money to pay for staff. Bob Whitehead's from Communities Against the Cuts. He says libraries are vital.
It's important for education. It's important for the children to do their homework. It's important for people to go in there and meet and socialise. Clubs and groups meet there, or they used to, until it was closed a few months ago without any notice. So it's a vital hub for the community, I think.
A look at sport. The Aston Villa manager Paul Lambert admits his side have a tough task ahead as they visit Crystal Palace this afternoon. Villa will be anxious to avoid a fourth straight defeat. Lambert is full of admiration for his opposite number at Selhurst Park, Tony Pulis.
Tony's done a great job down there and they're playing well. They've got some good results, Palace, but it's well documented. Our home form has been more consistent. Our away form rather has been more consistent than our home form. And that's something we have to go and do again.
West Bromwich Albion can take a big step towards Premier League survival by beating Tottenham at the Hawthorns this afternoon. Wolves are right on the threshold of promotion as they visit Crewe today. A win will effectively secure a place back in the Championship for Kenny Jackett's side. And Wolves will take a record of 1 defeat in 6 matches into this afternoon's game at home to Bristol City. A look at the weather. Dry at first but cloudy through the morning, then patchy rain later on. Highs of 13 Celsius, 55 Fahrenheit. Tonight there's going to be the odd spot of rain, but it will be mainly dry and it will turn chilly. Lows of 3 degrees Celsius, that's 37 degrees Fahrenheit. Tomorrow is looking like a mainly fine day with some light winds and highs of 14 degrees Celsius or 57 degrees Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
I'm speechless. I pop out of the studio for 2 minutes to give a rallying call to my team. I come back, I'm just covered in abuse on Twitter. Andy Lewis, what's your beef, Lewis? What's your beef? For goodness sakes. They're all calling for me to be sacked. Coming up on BBC WM, says Andy Lewis, is the Earth flat? Let's hear some loons debate this with geologists. Listen, no. I'm not having it. Oh, I want people to call in with their stories of homeopathy, OK? What's your problem with that, Lewis? Colhoun, what's your problem? I don't believe in homeopathy. I would suggest that the majority of evidence is on my side, OK? But if people have had their lives changed, affected, fixed by it, as they claim, then why can't we hear their stories, Mr. Lewis? Why can't we hear their stories, Mr. Colhoun? Why can't we? What's the problem with that? What are you so afraid of? And why are you so angry? Not just them, there's loads of people on Twitter who've gone bonkers about it. The phones have gone nuts. I apologise to Bernie and producer Joe for the abuse and the amount of phone... I've never seen it so busy. 03453 009956. I like it when it's like this. It's fun when it's like this. And I'm sure my team would agree. Homeopathy, Reiki, spiritual healing and Chinese medicine. It's all a load of bunkum, isn't it?
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453
009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Let's go to... Millie's been waiting the longest. Morning, Millie.
Good morning, darling.
Are you going to have a go at me?
No.
OK, thank you, my
I'm
love.
just saying it is what people believe in their head.
Yep.
Yeah? No, you listen to me.
Go on.
I wasn't very well in February, yeah?
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
The same sickness I had in New York. Now, the doctor in New York, he gave me an injection in my spine, right?
Yeah. Oh, I've had an injection in my spine. It's uncomfortable, isn't it?
Listen good and proper. And he gave me some tablets, one to put on my tongue, and it dissolves itself.
Yes.
You don't swallow, you don't put water, right? Now, I went to my doctor here with the same complaint. Now, in New York, I was better in 3 days, yeah?
Yes.
I was ill here with the same thing, and I was ill for 3 weeks. Now, I would say I believe the New York doctor is better than the British doctor. But it depends on how the doctor treat you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, now, this thing here is like me saying to you, I'll put a curse on you. When you wait, next week you won't be here. You'll be going into the hospital and coming out on your back. Something can knock you down, right?
Yeah.
It happened that someone hear me, that know me, and here they sit next week, oh, God, you know who's dead? Iain.
What?
And they can say, oh, Millie put a curse on him, hear Millie telling him that.
Yes.
You believe, that's people believe in it.
Who have you put a curse on, Millie?
I said it.
If okay, you haven't put a curse on, but if you did, yes.
I said, no, let me tell you now what happened really.
Yes.
I had a gentleman came here. He's dead now.
Did you put a curse on him?
Yeah, listen to this.
What?
But that don't mean that I kill him.
Whoa, hang on a second.
It's not that I kill him,
Yes.
Yeah?
But you put a curse on him.
It's the same thing as that. He came here to me and he gave me estimate £150, yeah? He was doing the job and he brought his son in with him. So his son helped him do the job.
Yes.
He turned around at the end of the time when the job completed and charged me £300. So I said, why should I give you £300?
Right.
I have to pay the son $150 also.
Yes.
I said, no, that was your problem, bringing your son to help you. Right. I gave him the £300, cash in his hand. I said this will be the last £300 or any money you would take from anyone as long as you live. The next week, he fell off the ladder.
Oh, gosh.
And he's dead.
I don't know how to deal with this. Millie's...
No.
Millie's admitting...
People believe that they get
Millie,
bored.
we've had so many complaints. I have to just refer this to my producer, Joe.
No.
Millie's admitting she killed someone with a curse. I have no idea how the BBC is meant to handle this. I don't know what the etiquette is. I've not read the guidelines on curses. So you put a curse on him. A week later, he fell off a ladder and now he's dead.
Dead, right? But that is not. I didn't kill him.
You put a curse on him, Millie.
No, but that don't mean that my curse is real. That don't mean because I said it. But then that's how people thinking that this thing is curing them because they believe in it.
Yeah.
It's what you believe in. You believe in. Oh, this body do this to me. Nobody don't do anything to you. If I am that good, I should be rich.
Millie, thank you very much indeed. I mean, really. I need to read those guidelines again. They're getting dusty on the top of my bookcase. What is the etiquette when a woman phones up and tells you that she's killed someone with a curse? Bloke says the job was going to cost 150 quid. He then charged her 300 quid. She cursed him. He fell off a ladder a week later and died. How's about them apples, Colhoun and Lewis on Twitter? How's about that? 03453 0099. 56. Jim's in Erdington. Jim, you want to talk about Gemma, who we had on just before the news at 10, who claimed that conventional medicine didn't cure her brain cancer, but she claims she got better after taking homeopathy.
Yes. I wasn't. Hello.
Hello, Jim.
I wasn't very happy with the way that you're speaking, to be honest.
Go on, tell me why.
Well, she wasn't a homeopath. She wasn't prescribing her own medicine. All she knows is that she kind of had conventional medicine. It didn't work for her. She went to an alternative route. Yep. And you were haranguing her as if to, how's she going to know the research into homeopathy? She hasn't looked into it.
Right, OK. She's a homeopath. Does that change it?
Gemma wasn't a homeopath.
Does that change it if you knew that Gemma was a homeopath? Would that change your complaint?
Well, if she knew that she was a homeopath, she should be able to kind of have some insight into what she's prescribing and why it's working for her.
Let's assume for a second, if Gemma, who we had on, was a homeopath, that would you would retract your argument, would you?
I wouldn't retract my argument because I still think that
your argument was, Jim, she wouldn't know about homeopathy because she's not a homeopath. So you would have to retract that if you knew that Gemma was a homeopath, wouldn't you?
Though at the same time, I still think that you...
OK, new argument coming up.
You've already decided that you don't believe in it.
OK, that's a different argument.
That's my argument.
So that's your new argument. That's your new argument. Your original argument was that I was aggressive with Gemma and she wouldn't know those things because she wasn't a homeopath. So you're going to retract that argument now and come up with a new one. Is that right?
If Gemma is a homeopath, I don't know whether she is or not, because I only caught the last 5 minutes of the show.
Gemma is a homeopath.
She was a homeopath.
Gemma is a homeopath.
Right, well, she should know what it was that she was prescribing to herself and why it worked. But it doesn't mean that...
Also, I wasn't asking...
Just because she's not that good at arguing...
Yes.
It doesn't mean that what she believed in is incorrect and what you believe in is correct. Like, you've already decided from the way that I've heard... Yeah. I've only heard the last 5 minutes of the show, but you seem to have already decided what your opinion is on the matter.
Homeopathy is guff, yes.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Now, basically, if you think about it, all the research, there's no research into homeopathy, and any research that there is into homeopathy will be from pharmaceutical companies wanting to kind of put it down as guff. So all the research that you've got is going to be aggressive anyway, isn't it?
Jim, this isn't going well for you, mate. OK, right. Gemma was a homeopath. That's the first one down. There's loads of research into homeopathy from homeopaths and from scientists. And third point, I wasn't even asking her particularly about homeopathy. I was asking her to agree the basic fact that chemotherapy, radiology, combined with surgery, can cure people of cancer. And that's a fact.
Which there's no denying that. Of course there's no denying
She was denying it for a certain extent.
No,
that's all I was arguing with her.
She wasn't really denying it. I think you got her so kind of het up that she didn't even know what she was saying.
No, Jim.
I thought you were so aggressive. You look back at it, right? You weren't allowing her to even think you were haranguing her.
Jim,
and as a result, she was struggling to kind of come up with an argument.
Jim, I was asking her...
You're a professional.
Jim.
You're a professional. She isn't in that respect.
Jim, I was asking her a very simple question so that we had a basis that we could start the conversation on. The question was, would you accept the fact that chemotherapy and radiology combined with surgery can cure people of cancer? It took her a long time to reluctantly agree to that. That's what. That's and we couldn't. But she was arguing. But Jim, she was arguing with that.
But you'd got already flustered.
No, I hadn't, Jim.
You listened to it. You
didn't even.
At that stage, she was kind of like. Obviously, she believed that what worked for her wasn't what you were trying to get her to agree to. So. Her kind of experience of the chemotherapy was negative, so she didn't really want to kind of accept that was going to work for other people. But at the same time, you never gave her the opportunity. She didn't want to accept
facts. She didn't want to accept facts. She reluctantly accepted facts at the end.
But you were very reluctant to accept that the homeopathy might have actually helped her. You were more than happy to kind of say, maybe it was delayed reaction from the chemotherapy.
Yeah, what I was doing, Jim, what I was doing is I was questioning her. When somebody makes a claim like that, you have to question them. You can't just take it on face value, Jim. Surely you accept that.
I totally agree with that. You had to question it, but at the same time, from what I've heard.
And which wasn't the whole conversation, by the way. Which wasn't the whole conversation.
I agree to that, but from the part that I heard, and I heard from the time that you were speaking to her, I think maybe 5 minutes of the conversation, your attitude was that you didn't believe a word that she was saying, so you weren't willing to kind of accept that there might have been something in what she was saying to you. That's what I picked up on it.
Jim, thanks for your call.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right, let's get the travel news now. Here's Liz.
Thank you very much, Ian. As you make your way around Bromsgrove, the A38 Redditch Road junction with Hanbury Road, we're just getting word that the lights aren't working by the pub, so approach that area with a bit of caution. Thank you for your calls and updates on this, including Ali, who contacted us. The traffic lights also aren't working in Wolverhampton on Chapel Ash. This is the A41 junction with the Ring Road around Chapel Ash Island. They've been switched off, it seems, and you need to approach that area with a bit of caution. Quite a big junction, of course. Heavy traffic around Drayton Bassett this morning, as a lot of people heading towards both Drayton Manor and Thomasland, obviously with the Easter holidays well upon us, so just be mindful of congestion around there. It's eased off for the moment around Bawdsley Circus. There is a bit of congestion heading towards the NEC. A couple of events going on around there. The Gadget Show Live is already well underway. Doors opened at 9, but Antiques for Everyone also flings open its rather creaky doors, one might think. It's 11 o'clock this morning. Your match day travel sees Villa fans off to Crystal Palace this afternoon's game. All matches kicking off at 7 minutes past 3 because of the 25th anniversary commemorations for the Hillsborough disaster. But your routes down to Crystal Palace, the M40 or the M1 towards the M25, all looking OK. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
Yes, I've got the clue!
You've got the clue! That's even better.
5 clues.
Mystery is the name of the car by Sunbeam in Wolverhampton.
3 hours.
The allotment's back onto us.
Do they now?
They do. Do I look like Annika Rice?
To find one person in the West Midlands.
What's your name?
Jackson with the Hunted.
We got them!
No!
Hunted is back with me, Richard Wilford, this Sunday morning from 9.
BBC WM
95.6.
Morning, this is Ian Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Fun this morning, huh? You having fun, guys? 03453 009956. Let's speak to Dorothy. Morning, Dorothy.
Good morning.
Are you going to have a pop? Go on, what have you got to say, Dorothy?
Well, I wouldn't have your job for all the money in the world.
Blimey, today I'm questioning. Look, I'm glad I'm off next week. Go on, what have you got?
Oh, you need a holiday, a good one.
Yes.
We tried it, me and my daughter tried it, because someone said, that cough, you're not getting rid of it. We'd moved house 12 years ago, and so they told us to go to this lady, and all these spots of stuff would be put on us to see what it was, you know. And we went, and first of all, she said, oh, it's mushrooms. You've got mushrooms growing in the garden. Oh. Well, if we had, we'd have eaten them. There was no mushrooms in the garden. And then she said, oh, have you got cats? Yes.
Yes.
It's cats. You're allergic to cats. And this is what's causing your chest. But I'd had a cat since I'm 73 now.
You didn't get rid of your cats, did you, Dorothy?
No, I didn't. I had another one. I couldn't believe it. We had cats all our lives. Anyway, went to the doctors, and the doctor said, oh, it's a chest infection. She said, I'll give you some antibiotics, and within no time at all it was cleared up. But these spots that she put on my arm to see what the different things was,
yes,
she gave them. Well, I bought them, like an idiot. And it was, you know, wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and put it under your tongue and put a drop under your tongue and all that nonsense. Oh, well, I gave up, didn't I? After 2 nights.
It's a lot of faff, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's somebody making good money from you. Taking your money.
Dorothy, thank you very much indeed. I've been sent nhs.uk, the NHS Choices, Your Health, Your Choices website, what they say about homeopathy. Shall we listen to this? Homeopathy is a treatment. They've put treatment in inverted commas. Based on the use of highly diluted substances which practitioners claim can cause the body to heal itself. A 2010 House of Commons Science and Technology Committee report on homeopathy said that homeopathic remedies perform no better than placebos, and that the principles on which homeopathy is based are scientifically implausible. That's a quote. I'm just putting it out there. Mark's on the line. Morning, Mark.
Morning.
What would you like to say, boss?
Well, I want to give you a bit of support, actually, because they came in fast and quick, didn't they?
Didn't they just?
To knock you down.
Good for them.
Right, now, cancer. I hate the word because my father died in 2004 with it.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's when you get it, how fast it can be treated, and what sort of cancer it is. Chemo works depending how far advanced it is. Other radiotherapy works, everything works.
Yeah.
It depends how far and advanced it is.
Doesn't work for everyone, but it
doesn't work for everybody.
It can work, yes.
My dad was diagnosed in January 03. He died in January 05. But his next door neighbour had the same thing, the same cancer. He had the same treatment, but he was diagnosed earlier.
Yep.
He's still alive. He's been alive for the further 12 years, still kicking. So there's that argument. It is a placebo. I mean, a cup of tea in the morning makes you feel better for the whole of the day.
Doesn't it just? Cup of tea in the morning makes you feel better.
If you don't have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee in the morning, first thing, what are you like?
Well, I'm on top of the world. But you're right, Mark. My dad got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in... Hang on a second, let me do the maths. In November 2012. He died February 2013. Got it way too late, and there's not long. My mum was diagnosed last year with breast cancer. She's now undergoing an intensive course of chemotherapy and Herceptin, and at the moment it's working. The lump is getting smaller and it's getting softer, and we're going to keep on doing that till it gets to a point when it will be safer for her to have a mastectomy.
Well, if it didn't work, they wouldn't give it you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there are some people who would say that about homeopathy. If it didn't work, they wouldn't give it you.
Well, I think it's wrong. It's not done by doctors, real doctors, is it really? I don't know.
Mark, thank you very much. It is recommended by some real doctors. Who'd have thought? Thank you for that, Mark. Who'd have thought that a debate about... What's this debate about? It's about choice. It's a debate about choice. Isn't it really? I choose to believe the scientific reports that say homeopathy is bunkum. Okay? I choose, when I'm ill, to go to a conventional doctor and to take medicine. I choose not to have homeopathy. Now, some people choose to have homeopathy. Some people choose to believe that homeopathy works. Some people choose to have homeopathy in conjunction... Oh, yes, a cup of tea, please, Bernie. Yeah, we don't need to... skirt around that issue. I want a cup of tea. Some people choose to have homeopathy and no other medicine. Some people choose to have homeopathy combined with conventional medicine. And that's their choice. This argument is about choice, isn't it? It's about choices. And whenever people have the freedom to make choices, other people get very, very upset and very, very angry. If you're not on Twitter, I wouldn't go on there this morning. David Colquhoun, who was one of our guests, very upset with what we're doing. And lots of other people are very upset with what we're doing. What we're doing is we're simply asking this morning for you to share your stories about the choices you made around your health. Did you choose conventional medicine? Did you choose alternative medicine? That's all we're talking about. It's not even really a debate. It's a conversation. And it does intrigue me that so much... Let it go. It does intrigue me that the people get so upset about other people's choices. I wonder why that is. 03453 009956.
Pensnet, Rugeley, Redditch,
Rowley Regis. Have your say across the West Midlands.
BBC WN
95.6.
Here's the thing that we thought people would get angry about. More than a quarter of teachers questioned in a survey said parents are being asked to donate money to help buy items like textbooks for state schools. The poll was carried out in England by the Association of Teachers and Lecturers. The government says schools are not allowed to charge for any activity that is part of the national curriculum. Well, in a second, we'll speak to John O'Connell, who is the director of the Taxpayers Alliance. But before that, let's speak to Brian Lightman, General Secretary of the Association of School and College Leaders. Morning, Brian.
Good morning.
What do you make of this?
Well, I don't think it's a new thing that parents have been asked to contribute to the costs of things. I mean, certainly parents should not be required to pay for things that are part of the curriculum. They can only be asked to make a voluntary contribution, and those voluntary contributions are normally for things like extracurricular activities, like trips and things like that. Now, the fact of the matter is that school budgets are under enormous pressure, and so, you know, there will be certain activities that schools might like to provide, but they can only do that if the parents contribute to them. And I think that might perhaps explain why there's a perception that more things have been charged for.
Well, this the poll carried out by in England by the Association of Teachers and Lecturers says that this money that's being collected is aside from money that might be for school trips. This is actually for textbooks and exercise books and basics.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw some of the reporting on that, and I mean, I'd like to know more about the detail of what exactly people are asking for, because they cannot expect people to pay for textbooks. What does happen is, for example, in the sixth form, if you're studying, say, a literary text, then sometimes the students want to have a copy of their own of the book. So the school would, so they can write on it, annotate it, and so on. And students would be provided with a book if they couldn't afford it, but they might be, parents might be asked to pay for it if they want to have one to keep. But, what we certainly would not want is anybody to be disadvantaged in any way. We have a free state education service, and that's something very important to us.
John O'Connell from the Taxpayers Alliance. Morning, John.
Good morning.
John, what do you make of all this?
Well, I agree with Brian. I think, look, if the basics of if schools are asking parents to pay for the basics, then that can't be right. And if children can't afford it, then it's especially bad. But I think people will wonder what exactly schools are doing with the budgets that they're already getting. I know they are under pressure. There are necessary reductions being made across the board. But what happens with the money that already is handed over in tax? I think that schools need to work a bit harder to make sure that money is being prioritised in the right way so that they can provide these basics. Because I think that people would expect schools to provide these basics for children. And we saw the story the other week about, contributing extra for the NHS and all this kind of thing, when the NHS budget is already over £100 billion. And I think taxpayers have a right to sort of ask questions about what is being done with the money that is already being provided through their wage slips.
Brian, what do you think? Is it bad financial management in schools?
No, I don't think it is, but I'm perfectly happy with the idea that schools should be accountable for the public money that they receive, and indeed they have to publish their accounts, and that's absolutely right and proper. The fact of the matter is that budgets are reducing, and particularly, for example, post-16 budgets are being cut to a level where schools are receiving far less than it's actually costing to educate the students. So they're having to make very hard decisions. And I'm afraid those decisions will be things like, do we offer a course in a certain subject or not? And therefore, if parents can help by contributing, then obviously that's going to mitigate the effect. But I would be pointing to the government here and saying, look, if we believe that a state education service should be free, and I certainly do, then they must make sure that schools are appropriately, properly funded at the level that it actually costs to run them.
John from the Taxpayers Alliance, if parents are asked for voluntary contributions, is there a problem with that? They're voluntary. And if it makes their children's school experience better, then that can't be a bad thing, can it?
No, look, and if there is a parent who happens to be well off or is happy to make such a contribution to their school, then nobody should stand in the way of letting that parent do that. I mean, I think that's absolutely a good thing. What we don't want to see, and I hope isn't happening, is that schools are sending out letters en masse to all parents and putting pressure on parents to make them feel like they have to contribute something. That we definitely don't want to see. If somebody does have some money that they can contribute to their school, absolutely. Who's to say that they shouldn't do it? Of course they should. But what we don't want to see is pressure being put on parents who are on squeezed incomes and who already pay quite a lot of tax and want to see the school budgets being spent in a way where they can receive the education for their children that they've already paid for.
And I guess some parents, Brian, could be worried that they get a letter saying, we'd like a £20 voluntary contribution, that perhaps if they don't make that contribution, it will be noted somewhere and little Johnny or little Susie might be treated slightly differently because their parents didn't give any money.
Well, that mustn't happen, and certainly, we could never condone that sort of behaviour. I absolutely agree with John, that if parents can afford to make a donation, and many do to parent-teacher associations and so on, that's absolutely fine, and it would be very helpful if they'll do that. But no parent must be put under pressure, and no child must be disadvantaged because of the fact that their parents can't afford to buy things. Indeed, if a school organises something like a trip and asks for a voluntary contribution, if a child can't afford to go on it, then the school has to find a way of helping there, and they have things like the school fund in order to cover those sorts of costs.
Brian Lightman, General Secretary of the Association of School and College Leaders, thank you. John, while I've got you on, someone raised this point earlier this morning. Do we not have to accept that there are more people in this country? We are all living for much longer, and our taxes just don't cover the things as well that they used to cover 50 years ago. And some things that that have traditionally been free at the point of contact, like schools, like hospitals, like doctors, maybe we have to change our thinking and perhaps do pay a fee at the point of contact.
Well, it's a very interesting and very timely debate. I think with stuff like missed appointments at GPs and at hospital appointments, that costs a huge amount of taxpayers' money every single year. So there have been proposals about introducing a charge to go and see your GP just so that you take that appointment more seriously and you actually turn up. And if you can't actually afford that appointment, you get refunded later on. So it actually means that there's a price mechanism there to ensure that you take that appointment very seriously because NHS budgets are stretched. That's an interesting debate. However, the NHS budget is over £100 billion. People want to know what is being done with that money. Why isn't that money spent on beds? Why isn't it spent on cancer drugs? And why is it spent on, 40,000 managers across the whole of the NHS, focusing on things like carbon reduction and equality and diversity and other things that don't deal with frontline patient care, that don't deal with beds, that don't deal with cancer drugs. They're legitimate questions too that taxpayers have to ask. They're paying a lot of money in taxes. They want to make sure that that money is going directly to the frontline service and not to bureaucracies and whole swathes of management that don't actually have anything to do with providing that patient care.
John O'Connell from the Taxpayers Alliance, thank you. The director of the Taxpayers Alliance, no less. Over to you. 03453 009956. This started off with a call from Mo from Tamworth, who said, I've got something you should be talking about. You should be talking about the fact that some people are having to pay towards their schools. And that's great. If you've got a story you think we should be talking about, it's an open door. Come and let us know. If we think it's rubbish, we'll tell you it's rubbish. We won't do it. Or we may politely say, oh, yes, that's nice, and never mention it again. But it might be a corker, like this with Mo. So it starts from the point of some schools are asking parents to contribute money, a voluntary contribution, towards not just school trips, but also books, exercise books and textbooks and pens and things like that. Basics. We'll say pens. You're supposed to take your own pens into school, aren't you? That's what pencil case is for. Basics. And we've kind of expanded it slightly. Is it time to accept that there are so many people in this country, that so many people are living for longer, that our taxes and our national insurance don't cover as much as they need to? And that some things we have always taken to be free at the point of service, schools, hospitals, doctors, libraries, that some of those places might have to radically alter the way they operate and charge a fee. You go and see the doctor, it's a £5. You go to the library, it's 50p a book a week. 20 quid per kid per term at your local primary state school. What do you think? Unrealistic, unfair, or is it actually quite an adult way of looking at the situation? The money doesn't cover everything it's used to cover. Drugs, we're talking about medicine and homeopathy. Cancer drugs are so expensive. People are getting turned down for drugs, for their treatments, because they're really, really expensive. Well, if we all contributed, it was brought up, wasn't it, a while ago, last month, I think. We pay £10 a month towards the NHS. That would make a huge difference. You pay £5 every time you go to the doctors. You pay a tenner a night in a hospital. That would make a big difference, wouldn't it? Do we need to radically alter the way we think about our services that have been, so far, in inverted commas, free? 03453 00 9956. Jeff's in Solihull. Morning, Jeff.
Morning, Ian. Okay.
Yeah, I think so, Jeff. I think so. What have you got for me?
Well, you know, them gentlemen you had on just saying about schools obliged to say that a trip it doesn't have to be voluntarily paid for. You know, I mean, they can ask for a voluntary contribution, but are the schools supposed to pay for it anyway? A trip.
Well, I don't know. I always thought that school... And, I need a mum or a dad to call me on this. I always thought that the money for the school trips was compulsory, otherwise you couldn't go. But I might be wrong, because one of them gentlemen did say it was voluntary.
Well, yeah, but, my children were sent home with letters saying that a trip has been organised and the fee is X amount, and for unforeseen circumstances, i.e. weather, that the trip has to be cancelled, then there will be no refund.
Oh.
So, I mean, if they're asking for a voluntary contribution and then the trip is cancelled, then really there should be a refund, shouldn't there? So I don't know which side of the fence this is on, whether the school's supposed to fund it or the parents.
What do you think about spreading this out, Jeff? So, for example, if you went to the doctors, you'd have to pay £5 to go and see a doctor.
Well, I'd do that if I wouldn't have to wait a week to see the doctor.
Well, OK, if it guaranteed... This is how we do it, Jeff. If you want to see your doctor that day or the next day, you pay £5. If you're happy to wait a week, you get it for free. And if you don't turn up, you're fined £20.
No. If it was of an urgency, whereas now, if it's an urgency now,
yeah,
you tend to have to wait a long time anyway. The doctors I go to, you turn up in the morning and there's a queue there then at 7 o'clock, so you could be 6 in the queue, and then that's the only way of you getting an appointment for that day, which sometimes doesn't happen. So, and then when the surgery does open, you put in a queue, which sometimes you can be 20 if in the queue. And a while back it was a premium rate number, so I don't, and now it's a landline number. But if you're still in that queue if you're 20 if in that queue, you end up hanging up because you haven't got time to wait in the queue if you're 20.
I know what you mean, Jeff. Thank you very much indeed. He didn't agree with me, but I think we could be onto something here. This is how we sort out the NHS. If you phone up in the morning, you want to see the doctor that day or the next day, you pay £5. If you're happy to wait a week to see your doctor of choice, it's free. Freebie. And if you don't turn up for your appointment, you're fined £20. Boom. How's about that? That works, doesn't it? That makes perfect sense. Quick, right? Email the NHS. Email the Queen. We've got this one. I think it's queen@yahoo.co.uk. I'm not sure. I'd have to check. 03453 00 9956. Charles is in Wolverhampton. Morning, Charles.
How you doing? You all right?
I think so, Charles. I think so. What would you like to say this morning?
Yeah, I've been listening in, and I can see, you're getting a bit of a battering on you. But
mate.
I think it's a really good topic that you're talking about today.
Thank you very much.
About, paying for books and things like that, and the NHS. I do think, basically, that, the important services that we need are becoming strained. They're definitely becoming strained.
Yeah.
I mean, we are having, more and more people, coming into the country, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing because it's getting the economy moving and things like that. But I do think that, your education, your social services, your NHS, they're going to be getting really strained. And I think it's because they're free, they're totally free. I think we need to change our perspective of what we see of those services. Are you with me? Just like what you were saying, what you were saying earlier, I think if something's free, then people are going to they're just going to abuse it.
Yeah.
And I think even if we just ease in a little charge, I mean, I don't think we want to go with all our horns blasting and go in there and start charging them, ridiculous amounts, because it's not going to work. I mean, I think we saw that from the bedroom tax and years gone by, the poll tax, everyone's up in roar. If we just take our time. Are you with me?
Yeah.
I think we need to take our time. Maybe charge everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. A little £3 a month. I mean, £3 a month would make a vast difference compared to having nothing.
Yeah.
Are you with me?
Yeah, totally. And, and maybe there could be a sliding scale. I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure, Charles, of being in A&E on a Friday night at 11:30.
I have once, yes. I mean, I
flipping
am
horrible, isn't it?
A lot of the times we're here, we're there, we're everywhere. And yes, I have been in the NHS. And if I can speak bluntly, I think it's disgusting. It's just full up of people who have been drunk and they've got into fights and they're this and they're that. I mean, I was in the NHS because my tooth had cracked, okay? Because, I'd been assaulted,
Yeah.
And, I then had to go to the dentist and pay for that.
Yeah.
Are you with me? Yet somebody, just talking literally, can be sitting next to me who smoked all their lives with no teeth in their mouth, and they will get their service, whatever they need. So it's free.
It's an interesting point. I've forgotten that you pay for dentists. Even if you're going on the NHS, you have to pay. Dentists are well expensive.
I mean, I think some of the things you have to pay for on the NHS, but some of them you can get for free. I think you can get your checkups for free and things like that. But I just think we need to start putting these services first. I mean, if I can just give you a quick example. For example, my sister, she's got 5 young children. She had a letter the other day about a trip. Now, this trip was organised by the teachers, okay? And it was £16. Now, first thing she does is put the £16 in. That should come first. It should come first before the PlayStation. It should come first before your new clothes or whatever. So I think it's got a lot to do with the parenting as well. Are you with me? I think we need to put these services first. And I think if I can just go back to the water, sorry, I'm going to talk as quickly as I can. If we can just go back to the water, many, many years ago, nobody paid for the water. And it was free. And people used to use it willy-nilly. And slowly, we introduced, I don't know if it was a tax or a payment for the water. And slowly, people got used to paying for the water. Are you with me? Now, if we hadn't paid for that water, we would not have any water left today. I'm telling you now, because people would still be using it willy-nilly. And we realised that we have to pay for water because water is important. Are you with me?
Charles, I'm with you. I'm going to end it there because it sounds like you're going to have a heart attack. So you take a deep breath and don't be offended by that suggestion. Thank you, Charles. He's right. Water used to be free. Council pop used to be free. Now you've got to pay for it. And we're used to paying for it. You've got to pay a lot for it. But we accept the water bills are coming. Oh, OK. All right, fair enough. 03453 009956. A&E, 11 o'clock on a Friday night. Oh, it's a disgusting place. Right? If you're in A&E because you have had an accident because you're boozed up or you're on drugs, right? £100. It's going to cost you £100. I'm getting into this now. Right, we need to draw up a menu of how much it's going to cost you to use my new NHS. You're in NHS, you're in the A&E on a Friday, Saturday night because you have got into a fight because you're drunk, or you've fallen off a wall because you're drunk, or you've had a car crash because you're drunk or you're on pills or whatever. It's going to cost you £100. Thank you very much. Next. We can sort this out. And he's right, isn't he, Charles? He makes a good point. There are so many people. It's not just immigration. Immigration's a part of it. But it's more the fact that we are daring to have babies. How rude of us. And because people are living longer. 50 years ago, people died, 50s, 60s. You know, people live in their 70s, 80s, 90s. I know, because you're listening to us this morning. So there are more people. So we need to change things, don't we? 03453 009956. You can send me an email, iain.lee@bbc.co.uk. It's the proper way of spelling Iain. It's IAIN. .LEE. You can also send me some texts if you want, or a text. 81333. Start your text WM if you be so bold. This is BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel with Liz.
Ian, thank you. As you head to the M54, just be aware eastbound between 6 and 5. That's around the Telford area, so a little further along. 2 lanes shut, but really slow with delays on the motorway and off the motorway as well because of an accident which has happened there. It's lanes 2 and 3 which are closed on that 3-lane stretch, so it's causing a bit of congestion. It's not looking too good in Wolverhampton. The traffic lights aren't working at Chapel-Ash Island. That's where the A41 meets the Ring Road. They've been switched off, and so you need to approach that area with a bit of caution. Traffic lights aren't working on the A38 in Bromsgrove in the roadworks around there. So temporary lights by the pub that are out of action. Thank you for your calls and updates on that. It's queuing as you head towards Drayton Bassett this morning, both directions on the A4091. People heading to Drayton Manor, and there's also people heading to Thomaswell as well. Apparently, those going to Drayton Manor going for a Guinness World Record attempt by wearing onesies. So if you see rather a lot of people in that ridiculous garment heading in that direction, I know, it's just terrible. Unless you're under 5, you shouldn't be wearing
Adults
it at all.
shouldn't wear. If Norris McWhirter and Roy Castle were still alive, they would ban this sick filth, for goodness sake.
It's ridiculous. And Francie and Rigo, if you're listening, that applies to you as well, because they've both got onesies.
Terrible.
And it's just grown men in onesies. Anyway, I won't get on my high horse. It's still looking rather congested in Selly Oak on that bit of the A38 towards the Belgrave interchange. Your match day travel, incidentally, it's clear on the M40 and the M1 if you're going to the Crystal Palace match this afternoon, Villa fans. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
Thank you very much.
This month, the BBC's launching its biggest ever apprenticeship scheme. And from September, the new apprentices could be learning and earning in local BBC radio stations across the country. They'll get a professional qualification, and who knows, they could be starting their journey to a new career. We're not looking for qualifications, but we do want creativity and talent. Want to know more? Get online now. Visit bbc.co.uk/LAS. The BBC's local apprenticeship scheme. Earn while you learn, where you live.
That'll do, won't it? I'll have some of that. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Let's have a little recap of what we've been talking about. We've been having a nice, calm, rational debate about the pros and cons of homeopathy. You missed the first hour? Oh, man, it was very sedate. We were all sitting down, sipping cups of tea and listening politely to each other's points of views. And then going on Twitter and exploding. It's been quite feisty this morning. Producer Joe and I, are getting so much abuse on Twitter. And I mistakenly included her in one of the tweets. So now she's getting, welcome to my world, Producer Joe. This is my life, is being abused by people who don't use their real names. Keyboard warriors. Anyway, keen to get your stories for and again. Homeopathy and other alternative medicines. It's not just homeopathy. The starting point was a new scientific study. There's 2 important words, guys. A scientific study in Australia has said that homeopathy is no better than placebo. Not the band, the effect. So your stories for and again, 035. And we've got lots of people saying you shouldn't have people on your show who are telling you how positive homeopathy is. I'm sorry, guys. If those are people's stories, then I want to hear them. I'll question them, but I want to hear people's stories, and I will not censor that, OK? So I'm sorry, all of you people who are on Twitter saying it's disgusting that we've had people on who claim to have been cured of various things because of homeopathy. I don't believe in it, but I want to hear their stories. And I'm surprised that you don't. You obviously don't believe in homeopathy. So why are you so scared? Why are you so angry that people do believe in homeopathy and people do want to share their story? I want to hear them. I don't believe in it. It's very unlikely it's going to change my opinion, but I want to hear those stories. 03453 009956. I'd love to hear from someone who's had Reiki as well. I still don't quite know what Reiki is. The only experience I've had of Reiki is when my mum goes in for her chemo every week and a very lovely woman comes in, plays some whale music and puts her hands an inch above my mum's feet. And that's it. That's it. Mum falls asleep. There's some nice oils. Get to smell some nice oils. What is it? Is it something to do with... Is it chakras? Is that chakras in Reiki? Is it a bit of chakras? Here's something. When I was 19, old enough to know better, young enough to care, I went on... I'm going to say it. I went on a crystal healing course. I can hear you laughing through that double glass, producer Joe. I went on a crystal healing course, and it involved every Thursday night. Every Thursday night for 4 weeks, going round to some middle-aged woman house. There was a bit of meditation. I like a bit of meditation. That's good. House smelt of patchouli oil. And there were lots of middle-aged women. I was the only bloke and the youngest person there. There were all these women in their 40s and 50s. They're all a little bit airy-fairy. And we learnt to heal people with crystals. I know. What was I thinking? I'll tell you what I was thinking. It's that desperation. My mum had just been diagnosed as having MS. And through desperation, we looked at other things. And for a while, I bought into it. I realise now, claptrap and indeed guff. I bought into it for a while. If you've bought into it, if you believe that stuff, do give me a call, 03453 009956. We're also talking about schools. Some schools are asking people, parents, to make a contribution, a voluntary contribution towards their children's education. 20 quid a term, 30 quid a year, something like that, to pay for books and things. Well, isn't it time that we realised we need to change the way... Oh, we just lost one of those callers I was about to go to. We need to change the way we treat services that we have taken for granted that they are free at the point of contact. Cliff's in Tipton. Morning, Cliff.
Good morning.
Cliff.
Nice to talk to you. You've had a hard morning this morning,
Cliff,
haven't you?
I have certainly earned my 7 shekels this morning.
Oh, is that all you get?
Yeah,
Oh, dear me.
that's
We'll
all
have to have a whip round for you with a whip.
Yeah, cheeky.
I think that those who go to accident and emergency,
yes,
who have hurt themselves through drink or smoking something or other, should be made to pay.
Yep.
I had an hemorrhage in one of my eyes about 3 years ago. I had to go to accident and emergency, and I won't say it was full of folks who had self-hurt, but you could see from how they were holding themselves and had things over their eyes and the way they smelt. You wouldn't have struck a lighted match in front of them, you know what I mean?
Blimey, yes.
But as regards schools, I mean, when I went to school, this is going back quite a few years now, early 1960s, late 50s, if we had an outing, we always had to pay for it.
Yep. That was the same at my school in the 80s. You always had to pay to it.
And if you didn't go, you would have to sit into somebody else's class.
Oh, you were made to sit in the class a year below you, and no one wanted to do that.
Or a year above you.
Oh, blimey.
Which was very embarrassing, you know, because you'd be called names.
Yep.
But as regards the NHS, as I just said, those who self-inflict damage upon themselves should pay. As regards giving the doctor £5, well, I always keep in my appointments. I've got a few medical ailments, not insanity, I'm pleased to say.
Well, I'll be the judge of that,
although
Clifford.
if I listen to you much longer, I think I might go that way.
But there should be, I genuinely think that there should be a 20 quid fine if you miss an appointment, because there are so many appointments that are missed, and it means that it's harder to get an appointment. And I've missed an appointment a while ago. It was totally my fault. I completely got the days wrong. I would have been happy to pay 20 quid for messing them around.
Well, in my surgery, there's a sign up, and it says that if you miss more than 2 appointments, you could be chucked off their books. There's a security man who sits at the side of the receptionist, and everyone who comes in, he eyes them up and down, you know, as if to think, oh, are you going to cause trouble and that sort of thing. And of course, if you do say anything, they can say what they like to you.
Yeah.
But if you have a grievance and you try to express it, get out.
Yeah.
But just going back to one of those things you were talking about early on, selfies. Don't you just get fed up of these E's, like selfies and onesies?
Yeah, the onesie we were talking about, yes.
And the corruption of the word festival to fest. I mean, it sounds like something you scratch at your knee and it festers.
Yeah.
And, or calling the great British sports team, Team GB.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like Team GB. That's a nonsense, isn't it?
It's like calling you Team IL.
Yes. Have you got a onesie then, Cliff?
Well, no, I have seen them. You know, when you go... when you go on eBay and it comes up with selections for you or something...
Yes.
And you can get them striped, you can get them with cats and camels on them, and you can even get a camouflage one that God knows what you'd use that for in the bedroom. I mean, you know, I've heard from jumping off wardrobes, but...
Yeah, some people... Cliff, thank you very much indeed. There is no defence, and I think even Colquhoun would agree with us on this, there is no defence for people over the age of 12 wearing onesies. Women, imagine you are in a bar and you, imagine you start going out with a girl. Okay, you start going out with a girl, she's lovely, she's attractive, you get on, you think, wow, there is something special here. And the first night you get to go and spend it at her house, could be the first date with the youngsters these days. The first night you get to go and spend it at her house, wonderful. There's a fantastic meal, there's a lovely bottle of wine. You watch a great movie, you go to bed, you have fantastic sex. It's a wonderful evening. Then you wake up in the morning and she's not in the bed. Oh, where's she gone? Where's Denise gone? And you go downstairs and Denise is cooking you a breakfast. You can smell it, you're going downstairs. You get in the kitchen, she's wearing a rabbit onesie. Imagine that, it's got the ears and everything, and a little tail. She turns around, morning, I'm cooking you breakfast. Yeah, and I'm going home, love. I'm out. You would leave immediately. How awful would that be? Wouldn't it? You're right, Producer Joe. Yes, men in onesies are worse. Oh, look, I can see someone next door taking pictures of a bunny. Look, I don't know what's going on there, but I like it. I like her style. I like your style. Men in onesies is worse, definitely. 03453 009956. Helen's in Stafford. Morning, Helen.
Good morning.
Are you a fan of the onesie? It's flipping horrible. It should be outlawed.
It was just far too much information.
I was describing my dream scenario.
And who's Denise?
I cannot reveal any more, Helen. I've said too much already.
And jumping off wardrobes at this time of the morning.
Well, I know some people... the things that some people get up to, though.
I'm sorry, I've just got into a state of shock.
Oh, tell me about it. I've been in a state of shock all morning. What have you got for me, Helen? You want to talk about school trips?
Yeah, you actually talked to my daughter last week, Sally.
Oh, was she the 11-year-old?
Yeah.
She was brilliant. Well, you're doing good work with her, Helen. Keep it up.
She's a good girl.
If the future is her, we're going to be all right.
That's perfect. Right, anyway, schools. We used to have, it was called the school fund.
Yep.
And every Monday, in the little envelope, we used to take in 10 pence. And I used to go to the Holy Family School in Small Heath.
Oh, yeah.
So that would pay for school trips. We actually didn't do school trips.
Right.
We used to go to Small Heath Park. I was just saying to Bernard, we used to go to Small Heath Park. And did you ever do this, when you used to go worm picking?
Well, I do it with my boys occasionally, but I never did it as a school activity.
You did it as you did it as a geography thing, and you do that. But I think now we are lucky that our kids go to a private school, but they have so many out-of-school activities that we have to pay for.
And how much are you spending on all these activities? What does it cost you a year, do you reckon?
On the activities?
Yeah.
If they're just going, they use a school bus, it could be £12.50 a week, or it could be if they're going, their fees are actually extortionate, but...
I've got an email here from Chris, Helen, that says, since this year, I've had to fork out £39 on different trips and things for my son at school. The thing that bothers me is at the bottom of each letter it says, if your child is not attending this trip, they will not be required to attend school that day. This will be marked down as an absence. So basically, they're saying either pay for the trip or keep your kid at home. Only yesterday, Chris goes on, my son came home with yet another letter about a school trip that's costing £220.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's a lot of money, isn't it?
My daughter went on a science trip to Drayton Manor.
Yep.
We're talking a jolly, and it was a science trip, and that cost us £36.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh, that's Helen. I'm shocked. My boys are 4 and 2, so I've got this to come yet. I've got this to come. 03453 00 9956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call, or you can send me an email, iain.lee@bbc.co.uk.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
It's 11 o'clock. Let's all conduct the music beds with our hands while we get the latest news from Alice.
Good morning. The government is planning to consult on a new criminal standard to make it easier to prosecute people who avoid tax by hiding money overseas. At present, officials must prove individuals intended to evade tax, but in future, people could be fined or even imprisoned for having undeclared cash. The Chancellor, George Osborne, says the changes will mean there's no safe haven for tax evaders, but tax lawyer Ray McCann thinks the impact will be limited.
In itself, I would be surprised if we see, an increased number of people ending up in the dock, and very surprised if, any of them were being sent to prison as a result.
West Midlands Police have released the name of a teenage killer who previously we couldn't identify due to reporting restrictions because of his age. 17-year-old Daniel Akemba was jailed for life earlier this month for killing 15-year-old Hassan Mahmood last summer in a pre-arranged fight in a Yardley park. Hassan tried to back out of the fight but was stabbed in the back. Akemba, who lived on Ladypool Road, is serving a minimum of 16 years in jail. A Walsall man is starting a 21-year jail sentence after being convicted of murdering his wife and trying to cover it up after she threatened to reveal he was gay. 24-year-old Varkarani had only been in the country for a month when Jasveer Ramginde strangled her and burnt her body in an incinerator last September. Campaigners will be gathering outside a library in Birmingham, asking the council to release the funds to rebuild it. The library in Westheath's closed at the moment because it's in such bad condition. A petition's already been signed by more than 1,000 people. Bob Whitehead from Communities Against the Cuts says the money's there, so they can't understand why it hasn't been released.
Over £500,000 was set aside, agreed, to build the new library because the current one was 40 years old and falling down. And over 2 years later, it hasn't been built, and the current one is now such a bad state of repair that it's had to be closed.
The Minister for Disabled People, Mike Penning, is warning English Premier League football clubs they'll be prosecuted if they don't provide appropriate facilities for disabled fans. A BBC News study found only 3 clubs in the league provided the required number of spaces for spectators using wheelchairs. And a look at sport. West Bromwich Albion can take a big step towards Premier League survival by beating Tottenham at the Hawthorns this afternoon. Head coach Pepe Mel certainly thinks one more win will just about see them safe.
No lo pondría muy cerca.
Yes, it would mean it would be really, really very close to it. Therefore, this game is highly important. There are 3 points, and this would pretty much ensure that we'd be in the Premier League. 3 very important points against a very strong side.
Es un partido muy importante contra un equipo muy importante.
Elsewhere today, Aston Villa will be eager to stop the rot as they visit Crystal Palace on the back of 3 straight defeats. Wolves are right on the threshold of promotion as they visit Crewe today. A win will effectively secure a place back in the Championship for Kenny Jackett's side. And Wolves will take a record of 1 defeat in 6 matches into this afternoon's game at home to Bristol City. A look at the weather, getting cloudier through this morning. Then there's some patchy light rain on the way. Highs of 13 Celsius, that's 55 Fahrenheit. Tonight, the odd spot of rain, but mainly dry. It will turn chilly though, lows of 3 Celsius or 37 Fahrenheit. And tomorrow is looking like quite a nice day, just with some light winds. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice. The Voice. The Voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Hang on, there I am. I'm all over the shop. Morning. This is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Lots to talk about. Where have we been so far this morning? Homeopathy? My wife's getting involved. She sent me an email. Oh, for goodness sakes. Leave me alone, all of you, please. Go away. We talked about homeopathy and alternative therapy. No one's called in to talk about Reiki. I'd love to talk to you if you've experienced Reiki. I'd love you to call in if you could let me know what Reiki is. It's just holding hands, isn't it? 03453 00 9956. Is it time we accepted that our taxes don't cover everything for everybody, and some things that we've always taken for granted and indeed for, in inverted commas, free, should be paid for at the point of contact? Maybe a small contribution each term to your kid's school. Maybe you pay when you go and see your GP. Maybe you pay when you go to the hospital. 03453 00 9956. And we had a caller mention the onesie. I cannot remember, for the life of me, remember why. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. There is no excuse for the onesie. The onesie was fun for about 20 minutes, but come on. There can't be anybody listening to this show. I could end that sentence there, couldn't I? There can't be anybody listening to this show wearing a onesie, can there? Disgusting things. iain.lee@bbc.co.uk. You can send me a text, 81333, start your text WM, or the best way to get in touch is to give me a call, 03453 00 9956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453 00
9956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Fun times, fun times. Bizarrely, we had a call earlier on. I cannot remember the lady's name, and I do apologise for that. It was Millie, wasn't it? Who was confessing to murder. Millie had some work done on her house. The builder and his son said it'll cost you £150. Fantastic. Go ahead, do the work. The work was finished. He said, it's £300. I'm not paying. It's £300. She paid him the £300. She put a curse on him, saying that is the last £300 you'll ever receive. A week later, he fell off a ladder and died. No one's complaining about that. Everyone's complaining about the homeopathy. No one's complaining about Millie and her murder spree. Well, Matt's in Solihull. Matt, it says you've got a story about a curse as well.
Yes, well, it happened like this. I knew this man from younger days, and he was a very nasty person. He'd report the neighbours for silly things, and
what kind of silly things?
Terrible person.
What kind of silly things would he report them for?
Well, for daft things like not cutting their hedge or if they're done anything, you know,
Yes.
to let their garden go and oh God. So anyway, I had the most unfortunate thing to have to move in beside him.
Oh dear.
And he used to clean his garden up and throw the bits of rubbish into my garden.
Oh, one of those.
So I thought, and I tried to be friendly with him, you see, because if you can't beat them, join them, I thought. But anyway, he kept at it and at it. So I thought, well, I'll try some trick on him now. He was a pensioner and getting on. He was a good bit older than me, and he was getting on. I'll try a trick on him. So
yes.
I wrote him a nice letter and just telling him it is a pity that we couldn't be friends, for the simple reason, which is all lies, that I had bought my flat.
Oh.
And I was thinking about building an extension onto it.
Yes.
To take in some lodgers to pay for the rent and things. And I was hoping that we could be the best of friends. So
yes.
I posted the letter to him.
Yes.
And on a Friday morning, so I knew that the postman would be coming on a Saturday.
Clever.
So I had a hole in the fence. I was peeping through, and sure enough, he come with the letter.
Yes.
And
hang on a minute. So let me just get this right.
Yes.
You wrote a letter packed full of lies.
Yes.
And sent it to your elderly next door neighbour.
Yes.
And then watched the letter being delivered through a hole in the fence.
Yes.
Do you think that's weird?
Well, no, but that was the way I had forgotten at him. So anyway,
that'll learn him.
Anyway, he used to always watch the postman, so he was standing at the door, which his door was in the gable, and he was waiting for the postman. He took the letter, and I knew it was mine, so he went in and got his glasses and come out to the door again reading it.
Yes.
So he read it then, and he thought, well, I'll check on this now and see whether this man is telling lies or not, whether he has bought the property from the council.
Right.
So away with him down to the office, the housing office.
Yes. And you followed him?
Yes, but a couple of hours
And that's
after,
not
when he
weird.
come back,
No.
he was walking through the park.
Yes.
You see, but anyway, in the meantime, you see, I was doing a bit of cleaning up my garden and working. It was a lovely hot day, I'll never forget it. And I just sat down for a rest. And the lady across the road was no better than him, because she used to bring him dinner over. She thought she would get some of his money because he had no relatives. He was born out of wedlock, I heard after. He had no relatives, so she
That's
thought
not really a bad thing
she'd
now, Penny.
get some of his money. So anyway, she come crying over to me, and she kept saying, and I couldn't get out of her what was wrong, and she kept saying, poor Bill, she kept screaming. And I says, well, what's wrong with poor Bill? He has died in the park on the way back. And I thought, oh, God almighty, my worries are over. And he left £300,000
Wow.
to the state, and he was cremated in the Robin Hood.
Yes.
And he had only one person at the thing, and she got nothing. That was his neighbour.
Right. So the woman who'd been let me get this right. The woman who'd been taking him meals all this time, hoping to get some of that money, got nothing.
Yes.
That'll learn her. And are you saying that you killed him?
Well, it'd be the pressure, I think, the heart. He might have a heart weak, or the excitement of trying to, or the vexation to know that I was telling him lies.
Yes.
Something affected him, and maybe the good Lord above gave us a help as well.
And that you must feel quite guilty.
No, not exactly. No, if you knew what I went through with that man,
yes,
you would not. No.
Matt, I really appreciate your call. I think I'm tempted to do a have you ever killed anybody by a curse phone in, but it's probably best we avoid that judging by the feedback we're getting today. I have no response to that story. When I went to BBC presenter training course and studied there for 3 years, no point did they. I must have had the day off when they talked about how to respond to people who phone in saying they've killed someone with a curse. What would Nicky Campbell do? 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Who's been waiting the longest? Bob has. Chris, I'll be with you in a second. Bob's in Wolverhampton. Go on, Bob.
Hello there.
What would you like to talk about?
Your doctor's fees.
Oh, yes. Go on.
If I pay £20 every time I go to a doctor...
Yep.
Does that mean I don't have to pay national insurance?
It wasn't £20. I wasn't suggesting £20 every time you went to the doctor.
Well, what are you suggesting? £20 a week?
No, not at all. Not for the doctor. That £10 a month for the NHS is a possibility. To go to your GP, if you want to see your GP that day or the next day, £5. If you're happy to see any old GP over the next week, that's free. And if you don't turn up for your appointment, £20.
Yeah, so does that mean I haven't got to pay my national insurance stamp?
No, you're still paying your national insurance stamp.
Well, isn't this down to bad government management?
No.
Let me put it this way. Road tax.
Yeah.
What do they use it for?
There's no such thing as road tax. Car
tax then.
Road tax was abolished in 1937.
Or car tax then.
OK.
So what do they use it for?
That goes into the pot.
Yeah, they don't use it on the roads.
No, it goes into the pot.
So if everything that was paid for, like national insurance stamp and things like that, were actually used for what they were meant for, you wouldn't need any more money.
Yeah, you would.
How do you work that out?
Because there are too many people, and we're living longer. And as far as I'm aware, I think I've got this right. Pensioners don't pay national insurance, and so people are living longer and longer. And the people that are perhaps the biggest drain, and I don't mean that in an insulting way, but are perhaps the biggest users of the NHS. Although they've had a lifetime of contributions, they don't contribute anymore. So we need
a problem.
Well, what it means is, Bob, is that we have more and more people using a system that, and we don't have the money to cover it. And a significant number of people using that system, the elderly, they're not contributing towards it anymore.
Well, I don't think they should contribute it to anymore because they have paid in.
They've paid in for while they were younger, but it doesn't cover them now.
What you've got to look at, though, is the amount of people that are coming into the country.
Oh, yeah.
They'll just literally drop straight onto the national health and go and see a doctor because it's free here.
How many people do that?
I would say there's quite a few.
How many?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, thousands.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know. I've got no idea. You're saying thousands. It might be. It might be millions. It might be 10. We don't know, do we?
Well, no, that's, again, part of the problem from your government.
But the fact that the country is growing so much and is so much bigger than it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, immigration is part of it, but not actually a particularly big part, because the number of people coming in is almost offset by the number of people going out. Not quite, but almost. The fact there's a population explosion is because we are having more babies and we are living for longer. That's why there are more and more people. Immigration is a tiny part of it.
Why are we having more babies?
I can tell you. I've got two of them myself.
Don't take that literally, but the reason why is because the kids see the way to easy money.
No, but Bob, listen, it's nice to talk to you. I've got to move on because I'm going to be late for the travel. 03453 009956. This is a point that gets raised often. Does anybody actually have babies because they think it's a way to get easy money? I don't believe that. People are having babies. I've got 2 babies. Got 2 boys. People have babies. And more people are having more and more babies. And more people are living for longer and longer and longer. That's why the population is growing. It's not the immigration. That's a tiny percentage of it. 03453 009956. BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news with Liz.
Thank you, Ian. There's a couple of sets of traffic lights not working this morning. Wolverhampton on Chapel Ash Island, the A41. They've been switched off because of some works going on nearby on the new supermarket. They could be off until Monday, is the latest estimate we understand. So approach Chapel Ash Island with a bit of caution. In Bromsgrove on the A38 at Hanbury Road, the traffic lights aren't working. There's roadworks all around there, and it's the temporary lights by the pub which are out of action. Traffic's queuing at Drayton Bassett, heading towards Drayton Manor on the A4091. It's queuing between Bodymore Heath Road and Lichfield Street. The congestion now back to the A51 Tamworth Road. And now, people, we understand, are heading there for a Guinness World Record attempt for people wearing onesies. But I can think of better things to do. Anyway, as you head along the motorways, not looking too bad this morning. Your match day travel sees Villa fans off to Crystal Palace. It's looking OK on both the M40 and the M1, either route really, if you want to head towards the M25 and the outskirts of London. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
What is Gary Neville's dad called?
It's true. It's true.
Is it really
Neville? It's Neville.
Ian Lee.
Saturdays, 9 till 12.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM
95.6.
Morning, this is Ian Lee, BBC WM 95.6. We'll play some music in a little bit. We've been celebrating the magic. We'll do it in a second. I'll get to Rob and Chris first. We've been celebrating the magic of the older musician in the region. We've had some fantastic music sent in from older musicians. Well, we've kind of thought that was so successful, and you can still keep sending that in. We need to sort through those CDs we've been sent. We thought we'd buck the trend and go the other way. And so we've had some music sent in by a 12-year-old musician. It's not bad. It's not bad. I was kind of poo-pooing it, and then I can't stop singing the song. We'll play it, and we'll hear from Joe Riley in a little bit. Before that, let's talk to Chris in Walsall. Morning, Chris.
Morning, Ian.
Chris, yeah, I'm good, thank you. You want to talk about school trips?
Yeah, cracking show, by the way. I'm absolutely creasing myself here.
I'm glad someone's enjoying it.
Yeah, it's a brilliant show.
Can I just say to the listener, if I'm not in next week, it's because I've booked a holiday. It's not because I'm being sacked. If producer Joe isn't in next week, well, it's been nice working with her. Go on, Chris, what have you got?
Someone's put a curse on you.
Yeah, well, don't. I've never heard some great curse stories. What have you got? Go on.
School trips.
Yes.
You read my email out of...
Oh, that was you. Yeah, you got...
£39 so far since January.
And there's £220?
Yep, that's for a trip in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
I've got to find 220 quid for him to go on this trip.
You've got to pay the whole 220 quid. You don't have to contribute towards that. That's your fee.
No, I've got to pay the whole lot.
Where's he going?
They're going to Wales for 5 days.
What? They're going... I thought you were going to say they were going to Hong Kong or something. They're going to Wales for 5 days and it's going to cost you 220 quid?
Yep, and this is in October. I could take them to flipping... Mallorca for that price. But the best thing about it, it says at the bottom, and I'll read it out to you now because I'm looking at the letter now.
Yeah.
If your child is not attending, they will not be required to attend school as normal during this period. This will be marked down as an absence.
So if it's
so basically they're telling me I've got to pay for that trip or keep my son off school. I've got to lose a week's work to look after them or pay the £220.
And if it's marked as an absence, that's like a black mark, isn't it? That's a negative. That's not he chose or couldn't afford to come on the trip. He's bunked off school for a week.
Exactly, yeah.
How is that fair?
The other week, they went on a trip for a day and they were doing rock climbing.
Yeah.
At one of these activity centres.
Yeah.
That cost me £16. But if he didn't go, I would have had to keep him off school and it'd be marked down as an absence.
Oh, dear.
They went to the theatre to watch a show because they're doing different plays and whatever at school.
Yeah.
They went to see a play. That cost me £13. But if he didn't go, I had to keep him off school.
Oh, man.
So I've had to pay all that money. And then they have all these non-uniform days, which you have to pay £1 for. They had swimming on the curriculum, but they haven't got a swimming bath, so they took them to the school, which is a 5-minute walk away, so we had to pay £1 for them to use the minibus.
Have you spoken to the school about this, Chris, and said, look, I'm struggling to pay this?
Well, we've got 2 kids in the school.
Oh,
I've got a son and a daughter, and he's absolutely costing us a fortune at the moment.
Yeah.
The wife has just decided, because we were spending so much out on different trips and whatever, she started keeping a tally of how much we're paying.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it now on the pinboard in the kitchen, and it's £39 for one child so far, and I've put 4, 8, 12, 14, 17, £19 for my daughter since January.
It does seem incredible, Chris.
So you're talking £60 so far since January.
Chris, I appreciate you calling in. 03453 009956. £220 for a 5-day trip to Wales in October? That's crazy prices. That's what Chris has got to pay for his boy to go on a school trip in October to Wales. 5 days, £220. Otherwise, it's marked down as an absence. I think I would tell them to jog on in no uncertain terms. Rob's in Solihull. Morning, Rob.
Good morning.
Rob, what have you got for us?
Well, I was listening to you earlier this morning in the car. I've just got back home. I had to check the date to see if it wasn't April the 1st. With regarding to charging people...
I think it's the 12th today, isn't it?
It is the 12th.
The 12th,
I thought it was the 1st, you see, with some of the comments you were coming out with regarding charging people for different services.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware of 2 programmes that were significantly important that were on this week. One was Don't Cap My Benefits.
What channel was Don't Cap My Benefits
I think it was 4 or 5.
Yeah, I didn't see those.
Yeah, and did you see last evening Gypsies on Benefits and Prayers?
I missed Gypsies on Benefits. Was it good?
No.
I'm hoping my wife's Sky Plus.
I feel wholeheartedly sorry for him. He's disabled, but he's getting £650 a week in
Isn't
benefits.
that disgusting? Giving money to a disabled person?
No.
Awful.
I says £650 a week.
Who is?
It's irrespective of whether they're
a disabled
or not.
gypsy?
Well, yes, he was a gypsy. Yeah, he's from Romania. Then there was a clan of 22 who came over.
What was the £650 a week for?
Because of his disability, which, I feel heartily sorry for him. His housing benefit, tax credits, etc., etc. Now he's brought his mother and father over, and he was hoping that his mother would be able to claim carer's allowance.
Okay.
But unfortunately, she's been told she's got to wait 2 years.
Whilst Gypsies on Benefits sounds like a cracking documentary, and
well
done.
It was on last night. You should really see it. You should really then.
But what's that got to do?
The question yourself as to why people get irate about having to pay charges for services.
Well, yes, OK, but what's Gypsies on Benefits got to do with my suggestion, and it's only suggestions, Rob, I'm not saying that we should do it, I'm saying we should have the conversation. What have Gypsies on Benefits got to do with the suggestion that maybe we need to rethink the way we deal with our services?
Every one of them walked into a doctor's and got registered.
Yeah, they'd have to pay as well.
Contributed a thing to this country.
Yes,
Every
Rob.
one of them are entitled to free education within this country. We are £5 billion a year lost in fraud in the NHS, as a former counsellor for Solihull, I can tell you that the figures now stated, and you can check this out, for children being born in this country to non-British citizens is outgrowing those that are born to British citizens.
I don't believe that. You're saying that more children are being born to people who are non-British citizens than are to British. I don't believe that. Where is the...
You will have to find your statistics.
Where is the evidence?
Watch the programme last night.
I'm not going to watch...
a woman from Africa,
Rob,
who has been in this country 12 years. Never done a day's work.
Okay, Rob, I'm not going to watch Gypsies on Benefits, but you missed the point I made that the...
Why should people charge?
No, Rob. The increase in population, very little of that is down to immigration.
No, it isn't. No, you're wrong.
Rob, can I finish?
Go on.
Thank you. The increase in population... very little of that is down to immigration because it's almost offset. It's almost offset by the number of people who emigrate. So it's not a massive amount in the great scheme of things if you factor in emigration, people leaving this country.
I'm going
to finish.
Go on.
The reason that the population is increasing is because more and more people, British citizens and others, are having babies, and more people are living for longer and longer. And that's the reason that the population is growing, Rob.
Listen, look at the population figures prior to, I don't know, pick a figure, 2000. Look at it now, look at the estimated figures that it will be in 10 or 15 years from now.
It's growing, Rob.
We are the most densely populated
it's
country in
not to do with immigration.
Europe.
You just missed the 2
points. The only reason why we are is because of the benefit system, which was quite openly and explained on both of these documentaries why people come to this country.
Gypsies on Benefits.
It's not just Gypsies on Benefits. You also need to see the other programme, Don't Cap My Benefits.
OK, Rob, thank you very much indeed. 2 programmes for the list there, Gypsies on Benefits and Don't Cap My Benefits. It's hardly up there with some of the great documentaries of our time. The reason the population is growing, a little bit of it's to do with the people who come here, who migrate here. That's kind of offset, almost not quite, by the people who move out. But the reason that there is a Rob, they're saying, look, we're getting more complaints. Oh, for goodness sakes. Complaints about what, Producer Joe? Complaints that I question... Do I quit now? I know the boss is in the building. Do I quit now or do I wait till I get sacked? How can people complain about questioning facts? And, yeah, I'll say it, Gypsies on Benefits doesn't sound like the most fact-based documentary there is. It's hardly Nick Brumfield, is it? It's hardly John Ronson investigative journalism. It might be Channel 5 exploitation. I don't know. Let me go through it. The reason that we are having a population explosion is because... yes, we are getting people moving into the country. It's a tiny part. It's offset slightly by the people who move out. But more and more people are having babies, less babies are dying, and more people are living for longer and longer and longer. That's why! Some text. We'll do something fun in a minute, don't worry. Some text. Good word free on the NHS, but is it? We pay national insurance contribution, and who to blame the mess we are in? And listens phoning in and saying curses. Are they or not confessing like to come on? Richard Erdington. The extra money could be found from the fines for taking kids out of school on holiday. After that poor performance, you should change your medication. I really didn't understand Charles's saga about the NHS being free. Once again, we're faced with the bill for mismanagement, and when was water free? Julia, you could see on Channel 5 last night why there is not enough money for the NHS schools. Gypsies from Romania, Slovakia, telling the programme they were coming here to live on benefits. One family had 11 kids. It's not fair on us taxpayers. The amount we are paying these people, while it might seem unfair, in the great scheme of things, is minute. It might be unfair. It might be excessive. But when you compare it to the £100 billion the NHS costs, it's nothing. Iain, I agree with you, says Matt. I think you didn't have a problem with what Gemma believed cured her. It was her denial in the evidence that radiotherapy does work for other people. Barry's on the line. Morning, Barry.
Morning.
Do I give up now, Barry?
Yes, you might. I mean, when you've left this programme in the morning, where'd you go?
Well, I don't know. I'm probably going to go to the boss's office and get a right royal rollicking.
Out to Mongolia, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it was only this beginning of this week. Mr. Pickles,
Yes.
member of the Parliament, said that the government had underestimated by 500,000 people coming into the country.
Yes.
And that although they took records of foreigners, i.e. not in the EU,
Yes.
they didn't take records of people from the EU coming in.
Right.
So you saying that they don't cost us money, they must cost us money.
No, I'm not saying... I'm not saying they don't cost us money. I'm saying... Why are people not hearing what I'm saying? I'm saying, Barry, that the huge increase in population, very little of that is down to people coming to this country.
Where do they come from, then?
From babies and people not dying when they are old.
I'm old, but I've paid for 60-odd years into the National
Barry,
Health.
you're going off onto a different argument. Well, for this precise second, we are talking about the increase in population.
But the increase in population come from either Europe or the rest of the world. And if we don't check them in, we certainly don't check them out. So you're preposterous what you're saying.
OK, here are the figures. Latest figures from the Office for National Statistics showed that... Now, what year is this? Oh, your alarm's going off. Showed that... This is about 2013, OK? 503,000 people came to live in the UK in the year ending June. OK?
Yeah.
320,000 people left the UK. So that's about 180... That's an increase of about 180,000. Let's round it up. Let's say 200,000 a year from migrants, OK? That doesn't... That's a tiny percentage of the reason of the general increase.
Where do you get your figures from?
Which figures?
The ones you're quoting, just.
I've got them from the Office for National Statistics.
Oh. And they always tell the truth, of course. They don't like bend it so as they don't upset the government figures.
OK, let's say it's OK, let's double their figures. Let's say they've been generous, Barry. Let's say it's not 500,000. Let's say it's 1 million people have come in, OK? A million people have come in the year.
Yep.
320,000 people left the UK.
Yeah,
so that's
but
that's still only an increase of 680,000.
They've counted the men coming in.
Oh.
And the men pick the phone up and bring their wives and their children
Then they
in.
count the wives and the children.
No, they don't.
Barry, thanks very much for your call. Jane's on the line. Morning, Jane.
Good morning. I'm a big WM listener. Listened to it for years.
Are you still going to be after this morning?
And I have to say, this has been the best programme I've listened to in a long time.
Really?
I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Really?
Absolutely fabulous. I've not heard yourself before, but I'll be an avid listener from now on.
Is there a butt coming, Jane? I can smell a butt.
No butt.
I can smell a big butt.
There's no but. Great programme. Loved it.
Jane, you're very, very kind. Would you ever wear a onesie?
No, I'm a bit too old for a onesie.
Well, well done, Jane. I agree. Thank you very much indeed. What a nice lady. What a nice... Should we do something nice? Producer Joe's got her head in her hand, so let's do something nice. You can give me a call, 03453 009956. We've been celebrating the older musician in the WM region recently on this show, and if you are older, you're more than welcome to come on and send us your music. We thought... Wouldn't it be nice to celebrate a younger musician? So, we spoke to Joe Riley before the show. He's 12 years old. He's a cracking singer-songwriter. Let's have a listen to what he's got to say.
I'm 12 years old.
You are 12 years old. You've got to be the youngest songwriter I've ever spoken to. How long have you been writing songs for?
I've been writing songs since, when I was in year 4.
I'm an old man. What does year 4 mean? Now, hang on. That's what? 8, 9?
8, 9, yeah, I think.
Oh, OK. What got you started?
Well, basically, we had to write this song called 5 a Day.
Yeah.
It's basically
what was that about?
Well, there was this thing coming up where we had to write a song for the Harvest Festival.
Oh, yeah.
At my local school.
Yeah.
So, me and my friend Sam, we wrote this song called 5 a Day, and it was me on the guitar and Sam on the piano, and it was really cheesy because I was 4 years old and I'm not going to be writing Beethoven stuff like that.
No. Well, I think Beethoven was writing Beethoven at 4 years old, but never mind. Do you remember how 5 a day went? Come
I
on.
could play you a bit on the guitar if you want.
Go on. Have you got a guitar there?
Yeah.
Oh, let's have a little bit of a live session. Let's have 5 a day. Go on.
It's only the intro, because I played the intro on the guitar and then Sam took over on the piano.
Okay.
Repeated like a few times.
I'm not being. Are you really? Is that you playing the guitar?
Yeah.
Right. I don't like you. I'll tell you why. I'm 40, and you're better on the guitar than I am.
Well, all you need to do is practice.
Do you practice every day?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how often do you write songs? Do you write songs every day, or do you just do it? When you kind of get the vibe, man.
Sort of whenever I feel like writing them. Like the other night, I was just playing my guitar and I decided to write a song.
Yeah.
It was sort of about my mum, because I was going, Mum.
Yeah.
And she wasn't, listening. So I started to write a song on how she daydreams all the time. It's really fun.
Listen, I tell you what, Joe, that doesn't change. Mums, they never listen. They never listen. What's that all about?
Someone finally understands me.
Yeah, listen, totally. I totally get you, because they look like they're listening, but then if you ask them what you've just said to them, they go, what? Huh? Were you talking? They don't. Fair play to mums, though, Joe. They do have a lot on their minds.
Yeah, they do.
They are very, very busy.
Do you want to hear a bit of that one?
Yeah, go on. Let's have a bit of Mum.
I think that's all it was.
Jazzy chords.
You were there. You were standing right in front of me. You were there. Though I couldn't seem to find you. Your mind was far away. Yet so were we. What were you thinking of? Please just tell me. Is it raining? Is it sunny? Are there things that make you happy? Is it dark and is it gloomy? And are you sad? Are you riding on a horse? No, you're scared of them, of course. And I know you're back where you belong.
Well, listen, can I just say, Joe, what a marvellous lyric. Are you riding on a horse? No, you're scared of them, of course. Is your mum scared of horses?
Yes.
Beautiful.
She was absolutely petrified of them, because when we were younger, we were walking home from school and this horse was patting Mum's back. She was almost crying. There was just me standing next to her like, get a grip.
My mum's scared of giant paper clips.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
That is the coolest fear I think I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's a good fear, isn't it? It's a good fear. Yeah. Listen, Joe, who are your influences? What kind of music do you like to listen to?
I really like Ed Sheeran, because music's really good. He plays guitar so well. And and he's a ginger. He's we're both ginger. We've got this mental bond.
Gingers can be successful in life as well. You know that now, don't you?
Yeah.
You should be listening to stuff like One Direction and Jason Donovan and the Backstreet Boys, the Spice
please,
Girls.
Don't even start me on One Direction.
What's your beef, man? What's your problem?
I mean, One Direction, they're all well and good. They can sing pretty well, but I don't want to say this on radio, but I don't like the people.
Wow, gosh.
Because, they turned down a gig for a man who was dying, and it was a bit mean. So I don't really like them, but I could play a few of their songs because they're quite catchy. And Ed Sheeran.
I tell you what, Joe. We're going to play a little bit of People Can Change on BBC WM now. Do you want to introduce it for us?
Yeah, sure.
Go on then.
This is People Can Change by Joe Riley.
I've known you for such a long time, but things have changed. You're not the friend I thought you were. people can change.
I was doing the vocals at the end. I did the vocals at the end. That was good, wasn't it? It's Joe Riley. He's 12 years old. You go and write a song better than that. I dare you. I dare you. What did you reckon, Mark?
Oh, it's brilliant, brilliant.
He was good. He's 12 years old.
I know, Ian. I love BBC introducing programmes,
Yep.
and I think he's a prime candidate for that programme. They ought to.
They ought to
look at
snap him up. He's 12 years old. He's a cracking guitar player, and he's proper good at that. You can tell. He's got
Yeah,
a
I
great
could
voice, and he's writing songs. He was writing songs at the age of 5.
I know. What a character for talking as well. He's so confident. It came across excellent. Honestly, I was gobsmacked.
Do you know people I hate, and I don't use this word lightly, Mark. People I hate are talented people, and I don't like them. And people who can sing as well. Well, imagine being able. There was a point in my life. My friend was getting married. I was about 27, and as a wedding present, we all got together and recorded a line from a song. His favourite song. It was a Frank Sinatra song. We all recorded a line from a Frank Sinatra song to make up as a CD. So it was all his mates singing it. And I went in, and it was played back to me, and I thought, oh, turns out I can't sing. And it was a real crushing moment in my life.
Then you thought, you said you play the guitar, so obviously you reached your natural peak with instruments and
Yes.
maybe cut out the singers.
Correct. Yes, I did. Thank you very much. Mark,
Ian?
yeah, go on.
Just a quick one. I was down Bletchley Town Centre shopping. As I walked past the station, there was a small group of people wearing onesies. So I heard on your news that they obviously must be heading up to...
They're heading for... There's a world record attempt for the number of people wearing onesies. Oh, it makes me... Roy Castle would never have allowed that on the record breakers.
It did look a bit odd. As I walked past the station, they're all standing outside having a crafty cigarette while waiting for the train.
Imagine a onesie. You snuggle up to someone in a onesie and it stinks of fags.
They just looked a bit odd, And I looked at them and I thought, oh, yeah, it's Saturday, isn't it? They're either going to a football match or going to London, but obviously heading up to the Midlands.
Why can't they go up to come here in their normal clothes, then all go to the McDonald's toilet, put their onesies on in the McDonald's toilet, go out, do their silly thing, go back to the McDonald's toilet, take their onesie? Why have they got to travel in the onesie?
Well, I tell you what, at Christmas time, I was down in Euston and there was the biggest amount of Father Christmas students. I think it might have been one of these student things. There must have been about 50 or 60 of them. So they have these phases, don't they?
Yes, they do. Mark, nice to talk to you, mate. Thank you very much. Even though you're not in the region, we'll allow you, but don't tell too many other people. For goodness sakes. We've got standards here at BBC WM 95.6. Last 15 minutes of the show. If you want to give us a call, you're more than welcome to. You're more than welcome to. 03453 009956. Homeopathy. Reiki. We haven't... I'm really surprised. We've not had one advocate of the Reiki. We've not even had one person call up and let me know what the Reiki is. Still not quite sure. It's the healing hands, isn't it? 03453 009956. Has homeopathy worked for you? And is it time to admit that maybe our tax system isn't working? There are too many people for the services that we have, and perhaps we're going to have to start paying at the point of contact for services. 03453 009956. BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Liz.
Thank you very much, Ian. As you make your way around Bromsgrove, the traffic lights on Redditch Road, the A38 junction with Hanbury Road, there are some roadworks going on there and the temporary lights by the pub aren't working, so it is causing a little bit of congestion. It's also looking rather congested in Wolverhampton this morning around Chapelash Island, where the traffic lights aren't working there either. It's because of work going on by the new Sainsbury's, and they could be off until Monday, we understand. Busy on the A38 as you head through Selly Oak and going in and out of Birmingham, particularly on Hagley Road, where it's busy now once again at Five Ways Island. Expect congestion around the NEC today. That's by junction 6 of the M42 and on the A45. A couple of major events going on there, including Gadget Show Live and Antiques for Everyone. They're going on all weekend and thousands expected to both those events. You better get a rig along if you're an Aston Villa fan heading down to Crystal Palace. It's about 2.5 hours it's going to take you, either the M1 or the M40, both looking okay, and heading towards the M25. Wolves fans are going to Crewe, so that's just up the M6, and that's looking clear so far. As you head north, there are the roadworks 10A to 13 to contend with. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
New to Saturday nights on BBC One.
Question 1. Which TV personality did most people nominate as the funniest man on television? Anyone? All right, question 2. According to a recent survey, who was voted the 47th sexiest man in Wales? Any guesses? Right, last one. In a new poll, which handsome comedian did 100% of people choose as the perfect host for a new Saturday night game show? Oh, come on.
Rob Brydon.
Thank you. At last.
Hosts The Guest List. Starts Saturday night at 9:30 on BBC One and BBC One HD.
Just managed to squeeze in blowing my nose during that Rob Brydon advert. I know. Sorry, guys. Too much information. Nigel's in Purton. Morning, Nigel.
Hello, mate.
You're right, fella. What have you got for us?
Well, you should have seen the programme last night.
What, Gypsies on Benefits?
Yeah. I consider myself to be a decent, upstanding citizen, pays his taxes.
Good for you.
And, you know, the way that it come over, there was a series of... there was a family with a mum and dad and 11 kids.
Yeah.
OK? They'd got 11 grandkids. Because the woman wasn't actively looking for job seekers allowance, she got her money stopped. She appealed, and it was reinstated. But there was another guy who was the gangmaster who brought some people over from Romania, organised benefit crime, you could call it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I was appalled by it. Now, the bloke who was getting...
Can I just say, I am appalled. I am appalled by people who commit benefit crime as well. I'm not in any way condoning or endorsing benefit crime. Carry on.
Right, the guy who lost his legs and was on the skateboard, I think he gets £750 a month.
He was on a skateboard?
Yeah, basically, he lost the lower half of his body in a train accident when he was 9. And he's come over here now.
How tragic.
It's very tragic indeed. And so he's now brought his parents over here to hopefully be his carers, and they will start claiming benefits, which to me, the guy is... but... you know, it's one of those things. Now, the one big question that we need to ask ourselves is...
Yes.
This is organised benefit fraud by people from Romania and Slovakia. Yes, they are legally entitled to come over here, but people aren't aware that the one bloke who came from Romania, he came over here, he's still allowed to claim for his children back in Romania, and he said, I'm going back to Romania while my process is being carried on and will continue.
Right.
And because his child was ill. But surely that should stop. Now, the thing that I want to know is, while we're in the EU, these benefits need to be paid, and they have to be paid because of the law.
Yeah.
But once we come out of the... If we do come out of the EU, does that mean then that any Europeans, we'll call them, en bloc, who are over here pulling benefits, will those benefits automatically stop, or will they continue?
I don't know. I don't know. The European debate, I know that being in the media, we're supposed to all be very excited by the European debate. It doesn't get me feeling too sexy. In or out, I don't really know. To be honest, I don't know enough about it, and I don't think it will have that much of an impact on my life, whichever way it goes.
Right.
Do you see what I mean? I struggle to see, for the majority of people, how much of an impact it have. Yes, if people are claiming benefits fraudulently, then that should be stopped. I haven't got an argument with that. That's bad.
Okay, but what I would ask you to do is...
I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to watch Gypsies on Benefits. I don't really watch TV anymore, and I'm certainly not going to break that amnesty, if that's the right word, by watching a programme called Gypsies on Benefits.
Right. Then you shouldn't really comment on this about this programme until you watch it.
No, I know. I didn't bring up gypsies on benefits. That was one of the callers brought it up.
Right.
I'm allowed to talk about benefits. I'm allowed to talk about gypsies. Yes, I can't critique the show because I didn't see it. But if a caller brings it up, I have to respond to it, don't I?
You do. And to be honest, your programme is very, very good. But I think this morning you've overstepped the line. And it just shows how biased... No, please let me speak because I won't interrupt you. I said that to Bernie, right? I think it's just another bias of the left-wing liberalism that is going through the BBC.
Which bit did I overstep the line on? Which one of the lines did I cross today?
Well, I've only heard the last 20 minutes of the programme, but from
right, okay.
I picked up the last 20 minutes, the last couple of minutes of the guy from Solihull, I think was an ex-councillor, and to be honest, you were a little bit exertive when he was trying to put a...
Exertive. I'm keen. Listen, we can only improve. I appreciate your criticism. I genuinely do. We can only improve by hearing how other people perceive us. Right. Tell me when I cross the line. Tell me when I cross the line, so I can avoid it again.
Well, I heard part of the conversation. I can't actually recall it, but what people have... Hang on, and I'll just say this. It's not nothing nasty. What I would say, if they ring in, if I'm speaking, you, as a professional person, don't interrupt. And that when you're speaking, they, as a listener, shouldn't interrupt.
Because that's how conversations work down the pub, isn't it? No one interrupts in the pub, do they?
Yeah, that's it.
No, it's not it. Because everyone interrupts in the pubs. It's conversations. It's conversations that we're having. No. If you're in the pub, there are always people interrupting. That's how conversations work.
Not between professional people.
No. Forget that. Listen, I'm professional in as much as I get paid. Put that to one side. The point of this show, I like to think, is that this isn't, this isn't Radio 5 or Radio 4. I'm not James Naughtie. Yeah. It's not a discussion show. It's a conversation. I want to have a conversation with you. Okay. And if that means if that means sometimes I tread on your toes and I step over you, then I apologise. But it's a conversation.
But you need to see that programme last night.
Nigel, thank you. I'm not watching Gypsies on benefits. It's not happening. And that's how I like to see it. It's a conversation. We could do listen, if you wanted to, we could do this. We could do the formal... we got Edgar and Penn. Edgar, what's your point? Edgar makes his point. Thank you, Edgar. Let's move on to Steve in Harborne. Steve, what would you like to say? Steve makes his point. Thanks very much for your contribution, Steve. No, we could do that. I personally find that really dull. If that's what you want, you can find it elsewhere. I like to think this is a conversation like what you would have down the pub. And down the pub, it isn't... OK, this is the question I'd like to talk about today. Tony, what do you think about it? Tony makes his point. Then they go, thank you, Tony. Joe, what would you like to say about it? It's not how it works in the pub. You talk over each other, you argue, you disagree, you go back and forth. Sometimes your opinion changes. Sometimes someone else's opinion changes. Sometimes you disagree. And at the end of the night, you have a punch-up. No, hang on, that's not what we want. No, at the end of the night, because they're your mates, you shake hands and you go your separate ways, and that's fine. That's how I want this to be. That's what I'm trying to aim for. Maybe we don't always get there. Frank's been waiting the longest. Morning, Frank.
Good morning, sir. One of your callers earlier on stated that you never had to pay water rates before.
Yeah, go on.
Well, I've got a book here in front of me.
Yes.
September 1972.
Yeah.
Rent £4, rates including water 97 pence.
97
Total,
pence.
£4, 97 pence.
Wow.
And I lived in Chelmsley Wood then.
Wow.
So therefore, the man doesn't know what he's talking about.
Okay, well, you thank you for the correction, Frank.
But may I just say one thing? That man was splitting hairs with you.
Yes.
The last caller.
Yes.
I don't think he's a conversationalist at all.
Frank, thank you very much indeed. What an interesting document. I don't know if you heard the figures there, Adrian. Adrian Goldberg's joined me in the studio.
Very good morning.
You're out of breath a bit. You're right.
It's just been a puffing, panting, wheezing old man that does that. I walked.
I find the stairs here at WM. At the end of the stairs, I'm literally I have to have a little sit down. It's awful, isn't
it? Yeah, somebody claimed I was vaping on air, didn't they? That was just my heavy breathing.
That's you breathing. Frank there, he's got a rent book from 1972, £4 rent, 97 pence a week water rates. Fantastic.
I did a little bit of fact checking, by the way.
Thank you.
1 in 4
yes.
children born in this country is born to foreign mums. You had the caller, didn't
Thank
you, earlier?
you,
Said
yes.
that there are more children are born to foreign-born mums than to British-born mums.
Yeah.
Not true.
Thank
One
you
in
very much.
4.
I appreciate that.
You said it wasn't true.
Producer
It
Joe,
isn't true.
He's doing your job. Did you see Gypsies on Benefits?
I'm afraid I missed it, Ian, but obviously I've set it on the TiVo box, so I'll be watching it later this
shall
week.
Be going
won't
to
I?
one of the 5 on demand and watching that documentary. Listen, you're in for Daz again today.
Yeah, doing
what's
a bit
happening?
of early kit. I just want to have a great bit of fun, great bit of banter, because actually, for once, this is a time for some celebration around West Midlands football. Wolves, in all probability, will get promoted this afternoon. So I want to hear from you about the day you saw your team get promoted. I'll talk about 2 examples that I've got, 2 particularly memorable occasions when I've seen Albion getting promoted. Wolves fans, because they've been on such a roller coaster over the last 2 or 3 decades, they'll have loads of promotions to talk about. But Blues, Villa, Saddlers as well, the day you saw your team get promoted. And I've got to say as well, hats off to Villa fans. Not often I say that.
Wow.
You can see me sitting here
He's
in
wearing a West Brom top.
my
Look.
blue and white stripes.
Yep.
But they're going in their numbers today to Crystal Palace, which now you
That's
think,
a trek.
It's a ground in London. You
Yeah.
know, oh, well, Crystal Palace is, you get to London. No, got to be the worst away. When you feel that you've got a game coming up against Crystal Palace from this part of the world, your heart sinks. You've got to get to London, then you get a train out, and then either it's a massive trek on foot, or you have to get a bus.
It's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and when you get there, although this season, in fairness to Palace, I think their fans have learnt how to make an atmosphere. Traditionally, one of the quietest, dullest non-events of a ground in the country. So I want to hear about your worst and your best away grounds, the places you love going to, and the places like Palace, which until recently anyway, I've always hated going to. All that and more from 12 o'clock. Some great music as well, Ian.
Excellent stuff, Adrian.
I'll have that 12-year-old lad on. He's good, isn't he?
Wasn't he good?
Brilliant.
Puts us all to shame. Adrian, excellent stuff. Have a good show. I shall speak to you later on. Edgar's on the line. Morning, Edgar. You're probably the last call on this show this morning. What have you got for me?
Good morning, Ian. Yes, of course, you were talking about faith healing.
Yes.
Yes, and also you talk about when people goes to what the name is called now, not a physical doctor, medical doctor. Yes. Now the thing about faith healing, you can only be healed by faith. That is more real and dominant more than any other type of the medical. You got to remember
Faith. Faith is better than medicine.
Yes.
Not if you're an asthmatic, it's Ventolin.
Well,
it's an old joke. But
well, you see, it's kind of school where you come from, to be honest with you, because you have got to remember that all the medicine that our body needs, it's already in the ground, it's in the plants.
Yeah.
Okay? And why it's not being advertised like the drugs is because it's not bringing revenue to the pharmaceutical.
If I had, with the greatest respect, Edgar, if I had cancer, I'd want chemotherapy and radiology as opposed to prayer.
That's what you think.
No. It's what I know and it's what science knows. Edgar, I've got to end it there. I could have spoken for literally minutes more to you about that. Oh, dear. What fun. Listen, I'm off next week. Hopefully I'm back the week after, but I know the big boss is in the building, so who knows? Who knows? That's it. That's your lot. I'll shut up now. Adrian's on after midday. Enjoy the show. Until I'm back. Ta-ta.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
Good morning, it's midday on a Saturday. Many thanks indeed to Iain Lee for a fabulous 3 hours of broadcasting. I'm hopefully going to bring you 2 hours of fabulous broadcasting.